Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We flip the script and see more in the morning. Rather than being summoned, I have completed the quest he gave me, and he's happy to see with its completion. He thinks that we should consider why the king trapped him in the library in the first place. He believes it's due to his research on archetypes, reaching a truth he wished to be buried. That's an interesting theory, as he states that archetypes are forbidden by sanctism to start with. It's a mighty power, one he likely saw as a threat, especially if it was freely wielded as such. Research on it is forbidden. It must be why he's trapped here, and thus he continues day after day with no results, stuck in this place, thinking about how can man endure such failure and solitude and stay sane. But that's when he starts to talk about me coming. It was a change in fate, one the king likely didn't expect, thinking only when his research is complete will he be able to leave, as I reassure him on my assistance, and with that our bond grows stronger. With that, he's given me a next quest. This time it's to get Merchant to level 15. I've been needing to try out that class, where I personally equipped it, and then we get going to kill that Goblin King. While the Gauntlet Runner is running to our next location, I decided to hang out with Stroll. We're staring at the fields as he asks if I remember what we heard about his inheritance, that there may be a clue at his hometown. Of course I do, the money to help your people, man. He confirms that Ragnarth would rather him rebuild his house, as he tells me to be a lord of a prosperous house. It's the natural ambition of all whom are born to nobility, forging alliances, courting favor from royals and nobles, marrying some wealthy lord's daughter, and then there's matters of heirs. If he had a daughter, she'd be promised to another family, and a son would follow suit in his courtly endeavors. And he admits that all of that is foreign to him in this life. I ask him what he'll do, and he's honest, saying he's in no position to answer that. All he knows is his parents sheltered him while they did their roles. Now it's time for him to take the mantle, though he never imagined it would come to this, making him regret how he treated his parents. The last image they had of him was an arrogant, spoiled child. The house, its name, they're the cornerstone of Halia, but that all means nothing to the ones who are suffering, cast out by the fire that engulfed Halia. If he were to put a house there, first in spite of everything, he thinks he'd be no better than that Lord Hydron. He's unsure of everything. The only thing he is sure of is the ray of light in the clouds, which I made. He knows he must seek the inheritance. I ask him where Halia is, as he asks if I wish to join him, and I'm honest, regardless of if it's just a pile of rubble, I want to see it. He calls me kind, and agrees to show it to me as our bond grows stronger.
The Imp's Den, home to countless bandits over the years, has warranted the caution of all who lived near the steep, forested entry path. They warned their children of the dangers there. There are demons in those woods, they said. You mustn't go near. Perhaps the children's anxiety inadvertently roused something from its sleep. It is to that den, now befitting of its name, that the Gauntlet Runner arrives.
We made it to the aptly named Imp's Den to find the king. By the looks of it, it seems like it will be like with that Chimera Wolf thing, the last bounty, where we needed to kill some weak units to bring out the alpha of the area, which didn't take too long. The boss fight, however, was a little challenging. I'm using Warrior and Brawler to get as much physical damage spread as I can, but it comes with the simple downside of it depletes both Stroll and Hulkenberg's HP by a lot. And they started the fight with less health since I was doing in the previous fight, so I spent the first half of the fight cheesing the restart fight option to get a good start, and with that good footing, I was able to basically guarantee the win, but definitely didn't make it easy as Hulkenberg finished him off.
I crush you!
With the Goblin defeated, we take its loincloth as a trophy and proof that we defeated it, and then head back to Martira to have a feast, but I must remember that tomorrow we'll be heading to the Sandworm Cave as the Sand Flash is around the corner. So no late nights for me, as I head to bed.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today's the day we start our trek to the Sandworm's Den. It'll take us at least a day to actually get there, so let's get going.
Trusting the advice of Morris, Barden's right-hand man, the party takes the Gauntlet Runner towards the giant sandworm's nest. They could not know what they will encounter here, nor that it might be only the beginning of their trials.
Slowly going to our location, so I decide to spend the time cleaning the surface of the Gauntlet Runner. We're going through some sandy terrain, so I gotta keep it pristine. She's the fastest runner there is, so better look the part, and my reward for this is a whopping 5 HP. Let's go.
Come look at this!
The Gauntlet Runner comes to a stop at the midnight sun sands. The grandeur of it stirs something in each of them. Could a creature this large have truly existed? Or is it an oddity shaped by the sands? Another truth lost to time.
We make it to a being that looks like a giant sandworm, at least the husk of it. It towers over everything in the oasis it rests within. We're astonished by it, while Hulkenberg is thinking of what type of food it could make. Neris tells us to look at the ground. I think it's sand, but he tells us that it's actually glass. The kind to see in shops. Gallica asks him if it's naturally made, but he's unsure how it could. The heat needed would be an eyebrow-scorching heat. Hulkenberg finds that interesting, thinking something happened here. Neris seems to agree as he starts to jot down some notes, and with a little talk and Stroll getting the short end of the stick, we head back to the runner with another drawing for Maria. As we're going through with our quest to the Sandworm's Den, we get jumped by another Gauntlet Runner, another candidate it seems, but the voice, it's familiar. It turns out to be true, as it's Katharina. Guess we're getting into a fight, like it or not. Unfortunately for her, she wasn't ready to face us. As much as she would dislike me saying this, her damage felt lacking, and perhaps even her heart wasn't into it. As we just piled damage on her, and she fell to her own archetype.
That was perfect! Shut up! You having a laugh? Even in a hand-to-hand fight, I can't win. I can't take this. This frustration.
By the looks of it, she was not happy with her defeat, saying, "I'm unbelievable," and turning into a real force to be reckoned with. I compliment her back on her strength, even if it wasn't close, but then talks about my power, saying it's nothing she's seen before, unsure if she's to be shocked or awed, and adds that, to be honest, she didn't think I'd have kingly ambitions. I respond that it's complicated. She doesn't push it, as she talks about the carapace of the world, and how poorly they have it, calling it an endless cycle of misery they can't break out of their own. But now that anyone can be crowned, she's gonna risk her life to do it, and once she is, she'll put a bounty on every rich and greedy bastard this country's known. Lofty goal if she can live to see it that long, but I'll be honest, seeing those snobby dicks get a little comeuppance feels nice to hear, even if it's a hypothetical. She tells me the idea of going was a clamor, wanting the best for her people, thinking that not all of them are that bad, and she asks for what I would do as king, so I decide to mess with her and only tell her if she can beat me, and she's invigorated to take me on in the future, something I'd love to see as a bond grows stronger. And after a nice talk, even as rival candidates, we go our separate ways.
The Gauntlet Runner takes repose at an encampment as the sun sets along the sandy horizon, darkness settling in. What creeps through the sands outside in the night is unknown to the party as they take their well-deserved rest.
Now that it's night, I have to decide on who to spend time with, and I decide Neris, helping with the Gauntlet Runner's maintenance. Give me a crash course on how the fuel system works. I was told the details, so I'll give a nice little TLDR. The heart of the runner is a big crystal. It's full of magla. The more we push the runner, the more magla it uses. As long as it's maintained, it will never have to be changed. And then gushes a little about the flying one Luis has. And with that, he's happy to see everything is running as it should, and gives me some words of advice, some things I should keep in mind, as it boosts my wisdom, and soon the night comes to an end.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer. The gauntlet runner quietly comes to a stop before the giant sandworm's nest. It is the day that the sleep-inducing sand flash dances in the sky. Their target is Haisme Noctul, a villain still unseen, who has caused the woes of Martira. Will they successfully claim his bounty to great fortune?
We are at the entrance of the sandworm's den. I wonder if it worked, as we have casual talks about all things sandworm. Suddenly, the ground rumbles, as a giant human in the form of a sandworm appears. I mean, it's technically not a sandworm, or is it? Could that bastard have given us a bad tip to get us killed? Regardless, we have to take this thing down, on which is when I learned the hard way this fight was never meant to be won.
Tougher than I thought.
It went underground! I think we managed to drive it back!
We soon awoke in its stomach. The place so otherworldly, so gross. We hear a voice as there's an old man here telling us that if we got places to be, to attack the lump, pointing at it, adding that it'll open the gut, we're going to have to go the other way. But we're on a timer before we're digested, reminding us if we want to grab the treasure inside, do it now, as there's no way back. Hulkenberg asks if the old man wants to leave with us, but he's content living here, being a big bug fan. Weird, but I respect it, as we get going. I'm going to be 100% honest, I did not enjoy this section of the game. The timer was fine, but I mainly run physical, while everything here has some level of negation of it. So I had to change up my builds, and most importantly, if I messed up even once, back to the start. It took me honestly an hour of retries due to me messing one encounter up, but finally, we made it to the boss, which wasn't too much of a fight, as I take it down with light. We are at the exit. Stroll is having cold feet, as legends will talk about Lord Stroll, the man who crawled at the arse of a worm. Yeah, and I'll be the one telling it. But we're given no choice to run, as time calls, and the weirdest and hopefully grossest part of the game comes to an end. We will never talk about this again though. Anyways, we make it to the den. We talk about how massive it is, but Gallica knows there's a hut, and sure enough, there's one right there. Interesting, so Haisme is living here, but Hulkenberg believes that something is amiss. If this was a hideout, how could he possibly keep the victims here once kidnapped? We also made note of the deadly creatures here too. This isn't prime kidnapping and storing location. Something isn't right here. Regardless, we keep going, and it seems that the sand flash is affecting the monsters around here. They refuse to be stunned and are quite heavy hitters. I'm believing more and more that we were sent here to die, and maybe cover something up? If we're still alive, we're gonna have a little talk to that cocky guard later. As we make it close to the hut, Stroll tells us to stay vigilant. Hulkenberg makes notes of tracks. Gallica believes they're likely the larvae from the sandworms around here. Then she brings up the sandworm that shall not be named. As we're talking, something happens.
I just heard something.
Gallica, which way is the sound coming from?
Shh! Be quiet! No, they're footsteps. Someone's coming this way.
Keep your guard up.
Who's he?
It's coming back!
How do you know where it's hiding?
I think it's gone somewhere.
Are you the man we seek?
Name yourselves.
You mean this is Haisme?
I didn't expect a you chief.
He's a you chief.
Never seen one in the flesh. We're but another lesser tribe the city dwellers don't care for.
We're face to face with Haisme. I wasn't expecting a Ujif. Hulkenberg says that we owe him a favor. He's surprised to hear we know his name, asking if we're knights or bounty hunters. Stroll replies both, asking whether people he kidnapped are. He's confused, but then supposes there's no point in talking to someone who wants his head. He gets into a fighting stance as Hulkenberg takes note of the blade, calling him a shadow guard. I've never heard of him. Stroll wants to ask, but it's too late. It's time to fight.
Here I come! I'll not be anyone's captive without a fight. I'll have to provide some less delicate discouragement. No hard feelings. 'Tis best you.
Huh? There's more Heismays?
To push me this far. I did not give you enough credit. But I get...
I felt for a moment his holding back, so I decided to hold back somewhat myself. And I think DSP possessed me as I didn't look at his shadow, so I was blindly attacking something I realized, and probably not what the devs intended. He'll kill everyone, but he'll leave me alive, which I used to somewhat cheese the fight. I'm going to do it again, so please have mercy on me for being so cowardly.
I'll cut through!
Most impressive. You've some grand cause to fight for, I'm sure. But I've no intention of being so easy.
Heismay, seeing how the fight is turning, used some form of smoke and vanished. Hulkenberg thinks it's bad enough he's skilled, but we also have the environmental disadvantage here. Gallagher feels unsure. He did save us. Hulkenberg seems to agree, calling it strange for a supposed amoral scoundrel. Schroll also thought something of note was that the petrification magic didn't kick in, which makes sense, as Hulkenberg puts it, we don't have the people's support yet. Well, regardless of all that, he did show us mercy, as we're left to investigate the hut. It's not that good looking, but he does seem to live here at least, so we look for clues, and from what I've seen, it's interesting. Heismay does in fact live here, inside the hut. There's no real signs or evidence of others living here, and unless he's hiding in another hut, I doubt he could. His personal items, while small, are heavy. There's a letter written by a child, perhaps his child, which makes things sadder when we look inside the urn and find child bones. If he was a father, his child... I don't want to think of that. The final item is the emblem to signify him being a part of the Shadow Guard. It seems he kept it close, even if he no longer works as one. We're left with more questions than answers, as we huddle back to discuss our findings. Stroll believes Heismay had his own share of woes, but there's nothing to absolve him from the kidnapping charges. So we'll need to hear the truth from him, but Gallagher is unsure how to catch him. He's too fast. We have to think about it. Perhaps the urn? But thinking about it now, that's too far. But thinking about it more, there's a lot of cloth here. We're unsure why, but I think it might be to dampen the sound. He has large ears. Stroll agrees with that thinking. He's more sensitive to the sounds, and is likely how he's able to live here so safely. Makes sense, he could probably hear a sandworm burrow from a mile away. Hulkenberg seems to agree, thinking that it's a measure against unnecessary noise. She has heard you Jeeves have excellent night vision and sensitivity to sound. This means we have a plan set and ready to go. I'm sorry, Heismay, this is gonna hurt you more than it'll hurt us.
Right then, let's get this plan underway.
Heismay! Come out! Show yourself!
Wow, that's some crazy echo.
Kind of nice getting to let loose. Long as I'm yelling anyway.
Luis! You think you're so bloody untouchable, you bastard?
Hey! Big ugly sandwormy human thing! Even Hulkenberg wouldn't eat you!
Gasp! Rejected by Hulkenberg! The ravenous, all-devouring she-beast of the Knight's Order!
Is this what we've come to? Saying whatever's on our minds? Well, so be it.
Gallagher! The sound of your wings keeps me up at night! Stroll, you think you're so smart! Stroll, be more careful!
That's right! He's the only reason we're here. Stroll just had to play the hero and take on the request nobody else wanted.
Oh, I'm the only one playing hero here.
Ah! Enough! Stop this infernal din! What do you think would happen if that monster showed up without my ears working? You'd all be dead. Is this blasted bounty that important to you?
Here's our guest of honor at last. It was never about the money. Children are missing. We can't just ignore a kidnapper.
Kidnapper? I see now. As you were saying before, they've named me a kidnapper. A monster preying on children.
If the charges are false, I would hear it. In truth, even I've come to doubt the allegations.
And why is that, Lady Knight?
You've lost a child yourself, haven't you? I cannot imagine a parent who has endured such pain would kidnap children, much less sell them off.
Hold on. I can't trust a man who does nothing but flee. The people responsible for my home burning. Zorba, who forced the dead to fight on his behalf. Anyone who can't face...
True enough. If we lived in a world where words alone proved us just, I'd not be living in this infernal cave. I'm sorry, but I won't go to the gallows before I've even honored my son's death. If you'll not leave me be, then we decide this another way.
So you're finally ready to fight us properly.
Draw steel. If I'm to take your life, I'll not do it from the shadows. But if you refuse to retreat, then ready your blades.
We have our reasons for not backing down. Hope you don't think hiding's enough to make us give up and...
Here I come. 'Tis best you.
Once again, like last time, Heismay refuses the deal, the finishing blow to me. I believe he wishes not to kill us, and I'm having a hard time believing he did these horrible things, so I decided to slowly whittle him down and end the fight.
All these copies.
What?
There's some way to tell them apart.
Then my fight ends here. What are those
Heismay is left shocked, wondering how he used magic without Ignitus. Stroll tells him that we'll ask the questions here, asking the obvious one, as Heismay asks him to look around. Where would he keep them? Besides, he's the only one man kidnapping on a scale like that would be impossible. That's understandable. Stroll asks him if he believes he was framed, asking why he would do that to an innocent man. Heismay finds that funny, saying that innocent is generous. Compared to how the world sees him, a Ujif drifter, a disgraced knight, condemned by the Sanctus. What couldn't they pin on him? That's true. They cast him out, took his title, and put a bounty on him. They even refused to let him the right to mourn his own child. That's when Hulkenberg calls him on him holding back to not kill us. Or maybe he couldn't bring himself to kill a young man. He just says he didn't want to clean the mess up. I doubt that, as Gallica asked for my thoughts, and I'm honest, he's not the culprit. But it will be hard to prove it without the real person in chains. That leaves us with the question, Barden and Joanna, perhaps they might know something, as Stroll thinks one of them is lying, and brings up that we almost got killed by a beast we were told would be asleep. That's true. Hulkenberg asks him if he believes we were set up to die. Calling it absurd seems like Heismay might be off the hook, but we can't be too sure. And Heismay lets us take him, and brings up our smell. I changed my mind, he's evil. Joking aside, we head back to the runner. We talk to Heismay, apologizing for how inconvenient it all is, but he's fine. Hulkenberg thinks we will need to find a new head for the competition. Stroll replies we'll just have the head of the person who's doing all this, thinking we should contact Barden tomorrow, but keep quiet about Heismay, since we're unsure if he can be trusted. That's fair, but I think Barden is honorable man, which leaves Stroll and Neris to keep an eye on Heismay, since I'm too risky as the candidate. Heismay never could have guessed this was all part of the plan to take the throne, but he's sharp, sensing that there's more to all of this. He may learn one day, but I just tell him for now it's a long story. He thinks it's even stranger the youngest of us is the candidate, but he can see why they trust me, thinking about how anyone can be crowned king, but no telling if he'll be alive for that day. And it seems Stroll said something as Heismay heard it loud as day. Well, good luck, Stroll, as I turn in for the night.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Me and Gallica wake up fresh. She was telling me about an awful dream she had until Hulkenberg entered the room frantically telling us that more children have gone missing. This leaves us to be shocked, but means that we can confirm if Heismay is the culprit or not as we head to the runner. We enter the runner and Neris is drunk. Bloody hell, good job, mate. She's annoyed, saying she's gonna get cold water, and if it's not working, he's got hell to pay. Well, he's got hell to pay regardless, but she lets out a noise as it seems that Heismay didn't try and escape, still bound. Turns out in his drunken stupor, he threw Heismay in the toilet. At this point, I think he's just taking the piss, quite literally. But this leads to the question, what got Neris off edge enough to want to drink his worries away? Heismay tells us the strange noise, but it was footsteps. But not only he knows. If it has anything to do with the disappearances, it could prove his innocence. This is why he's telling us this. Stroll backs it up, saying that it was all that fog. He couldn't find the source of the steps, but he found plenty of something else. Children's shoes. Adding that it was after midnight, no time for children to be out and about. He had them checked and they're from missing children. Heismay believes it was the true culprit then. But Stroll informs that no one left town according to the guards. This means the culprit is in this very town all along. This leaves the question of how much we should tell Barden. Heismay believes that now is time to laying everything out, adding that we should take him too. Hulkenberg is unsure since there's a lot of risk, but Heismay replies that risk or not, the true culprit is one of them. And besides, like he said, we're hiding a man with a bounty. We're putting ourselves at risk. And he ends it by saying he wants to face his reality. His life leaves no room to truly mourn his son. And with that, we had to inform them of the good news. Barden is happy to see we're back, while Morris is shocked, seems we might be on the money of him staging us to die. Regardless of that, Stroll asks Barden a question of why is Heismay the only suspect of this case? Barden replies that a guard witnessed him, telling Morris to tell us. His story is flimsy and half-assed at most, but then makes it obvious he knows more as he says that what are the chances of 2 Ujif brigands in the area? Stroll calls him on it, as his defense is non-existent, just a nuh-uh. Hulkenberg adds that he was in our custody since yesterday, and yet there were more kidnappings. Barden asks us if it's true. Morris pleads for Barden to trust him, as Stroll adds onto the pressure, angering Morris, telling us to take our damn blood money already and get lost. Suddenly, Joanna, hearing the commotion, enters the room. As Barden seems to be telling her the story, Heismay hears something, asking, I heard it too. I don't, but suddenly he calls them fiends and vanishes. This put us in a position needing to find him, but being a part of the Shadow Guard, he's as good as gone. We're left to wonder what happened there. Stroll believes that Barden is innocent in all this, and it's just Morris. He framed Heismay with a false eyewitness testimony, must have seen him as the perfect scapegoat. That makes sense, but why would he kidnap him in the first place? We'll have to get to the bottom of this. Thankfully, Neris should be sober by now, so we go back to the runner and ask him some questions. Neris seems to be sober now, thankfully, as we ask for his recalling of yesterday's events, as it comes back to him, telling us it wasn't Heismay's reports he saw something. He peered from the window and saw a massive shadow moving through the fog. You couldn't tell what it was, a man or a beast, likely a dark messenger from the bowels of hell. He was shaken to his core. He called for help and grabbed something to steady himself, and that just happened to be booze. Well, this leaves the question of what is that big monster, but more importantly, how does it connect to Morris? Left with more questions than answers, we head back to the castle, but it's been locked due to Heismay being loose. We're left to wonder what to do. Hulkenberg thinks about sneaking in, but we heard Barden call out to us. He's with Heismay, seems they've been talking, as he tells us that the captain of the guard, he has a responsibility to the truth to know and uphold it. Heismay relents, saying he could have avoided all of this if we just lopped off his head. calling us oddballs. He tells us the reason is when Joanna opened the door, he could hear the sound of a child screaming. Barden is shocked, saying that she's childless. It cannot be her own family. This means that the kidnapper is inside the castle. This just heightens our suspicions with Morris, even if Barden is having a hard time believing it could be him. With a lot on the line, Heismay wishes to join us, and I have no reason to refuse, which he's thankful for. Barden is also with us on this, telling us that an old underground tunnel that most guards don't know about, Heismay was the one who found it. He believes that there's lots of places to hide hostages down there. Morris may know them. This leads us to follow his advice, finding the well in question, as we jump down to find him, or at least anything. Seems like we're all right, as the guards were taking some sleeping children somewhere. Morris tells us that we're out of our jurisdiction now, and that anything that happens to us here is our own fault. Stroll calls him out for his heinous things he's doing, as Heismay sees a pack of feral beasts. We wonder if it's the thing, but Heismay hears louder sounds behind us. Morris says that the more the thing grew, these watchdogs changed too, saying they'll eat us. Hogenberg asks why they're taking residence. He simply responds that they're premium bait worth a fortune. He couldn't live on wages of a guardsman forever. I agree with Heismay, what a scumbag. Maurice responds, calling him out since he's a disgraced knight, calling him a coward who's been in a hole he deserves, telling him not to play the role of justice now. That's when Heismay speaks his truth.
This is why I stand here now. I ran from my past and turned away from my pain. You prey on innocent lives. Your sin will be repaid. Yet I cannot condemn you alone. Not when I could not see past my own suffering. Not when I locked myself away to be alone with my pain.
O lodestar, who falters in memory, O thou anguished traveler. Thy long stagnant stance hath finally been broken. Now choose thy path.
Choose? My choice is already made. You can't erase your past. All you can do is take it in hand and reshape your future.
Thank you. Thou hast chosen a noble parting. Henceforth, thy fears and insecurities are thy light. O lodestar, whose light reveals the king's own path, awaken.
I am Heismay Noctul. I believe the arc of life depends not upon birth. By these hands, soiled or sinless, I fight! Apologies, but I cannot do this alone. Go! Rip them apart! On guard! Morris, you will not escape me! Out of my way, fiends!
What's going on? He just started fighting with us, and even he awakened to his power.
Perchance 'tis through your influence that this power passed to him, Captain.
Oh, is this what Moore was talking about?
Young man, you seem the most adept with this magic. I will strike at your direction, if you might spare it. Rest assured, I once stood among the Shadow Guard, and the years have not dulled my edge.
Heismay has awoken to his archetype. Now it's seen that once again my influence has brought another one of my allies to a power beyond igniters. And since this is just an awakening fight, there's nothing too much to say about it as they fall.
With blade in hand, my aim is gone.
up! Damn! The bastard got away!
But the children are safe.
Good. You saved them, Haisme.
You know that I used to have a child of my own. My son. He was killed. I could not even protect my own flesh and blood. Who could call me a knight? Since then, I've wondered what I had left to live for, and found few answers.
Is that why you lived in such a dangerous place? That you might be...
We need to chase down Morris first. He said something kind of weird back there, didn't he?
Regarding the watchdogs, he said they gradually turned more horrific the more the monster grew.
Do you think that's the effect of the melancholia? I expect anything further in will be even more malformed then.
But why root all this in the basement of the lady's own domain? Clearly, someone is invested in Morris's efforts. But who would finance this?
I can't say for certain. Still, from the very beginning, this has felt beyond the realm of any sane, moral person.
And to think this started as a simple bounty contract. We've set foot in something far bigger, I think.
Let's get these poor youngsters back to Baden for now.
Sure. With events today over, Barden comes to thank us for saving the children. We tell him it's fine, and Stroll says that may be difficult to hear, but Morris had a hand in all of this. He confesses as much. He tells us that he found out he needed to pay some gambling debts, and he'll round up every guard and search the whole castle for him. Hulkenberg tells him that he's outmatched. It'd be better to have the guards prevent anyone from leaving the grounds. With everything around it, Stroll believes Joanna is somehow connected as well. Hulkenberg is unsure as she's a respected sanctoress, but Barden admits that they cannot find Joanna as well. Stroll tells him that we're here for our own reasons, adding whoever we find down there, we will not stay at our blaze. And Barden is fine with that. He'll just trust that Joanna is being held hostage. And with that, it seems Haisme is on board, since his name is being dragged in the mud due to all of this. And with that, we go our separate ways to sleep. But with everything that's happened, I find it hard to sleep. So I head to the runner to read my book in the peaceful breeze. Haisme appears, unable to sleep, himself asking if I'm reading a novel, thinking, you don't see many carrying it around, asking for my group's true aim. I respond that I can't tell him just yet. He figured, thinking it's not his place to ask, as we sit next to each other with 2 cups filled with water, telling me back where he lived, there was no one like me, just Ujibes. They've never been accepted by other tribes, and it's no wonder they're nocturnal and look worlds apart. And due to their small size, they have no political sway. Their elders fought only short-term alliances, loyalties as changeable as the wind, relying on their power, not their own. He loathed that so much, cowering, thinking he was lesser. He owned his skills so the people in the city could accept him. He had some success. He was accepted in knighthood. He felt like people would accept him as an equal, but he was a fool. Never wanted among the true knights, merely shadow guard, where his deeds were dirty and kept secret. Ultimately, once they knew he wouldn't abide by their rules, they casted him away. His son died. He failed to protect him. And he resigned to being powerless, just like his damned elders he hated so much. But seeing me made him realize. He fought for a long time to be accepted. He'd need power or status. He didn't want to swear to a superior. He just didn't want to be alienated. For he just wanted friends. Sounds good to me, as I tell him that we're officially friends. He's happy to hear calling me a free spirit, and we shake on it, forming a bond between us, showing itself to be the heroic archetype of the thief. With that shake, he tells me that his son would be around my age, if he was still alive, although he would look nothing like me, and asks to read my book. I don't see why not, and besides, he's nocturnal, and I can't sleep, so we've got time to spare.
So, this is a fantasy novel. This section seems to describe the Utopia's approach to discrimination. Let's see here. In this world, discrimination and inequality are forbidden by law. It is a sin to impose injustice due to one's appearance, lineage, or birth. This is the accord established between the people and the state. Well, well. What a world that would be. I don't imagine our land will get there for another century or 5. Still, I cannot help but wonder whether those ideals would please an entire population. You cannot pretend at diversity without acknowledging individual differences. Some will be judged as strong, while others marked as weak. Equal competition doesn't mean equal footing. Their very aims of freedom and balance could spell doom for the striving weak. I wonder how we might ever achieve a true utopia, where everyone could be happy. If this awakened power is meant to be wielded in service of my beliefs, then, no matter who calls it naive or foolish, I will always use it to save the weak.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We have to subjugate the true culprit of all the evil that's happened here. It might be Morris, could be Joanna, or perhaps even that mysterious monster. But for now, I decided to not do it today. I wanted to get the ring so I can get Grievous' dagger back. It's a keepsake after all, I don't want to lose it. But before that, I turned in the loincloth and got compensated for it, and my popularity rank is now 3,416. We also get told about a noble needing help with something, so I guess I'll have a look into that, as I accept another quest. This time to kill some sandworms that have been causing trouble for miners. It will take us a day to get there, but I'll get around to it eventually. Anyways, before I left, I talked to that noble. He tells us about their heirloom, even if I'm just a filthy elder. So I'll get that for him, and then there was a guard who needed to get some skulls for nobles, or his head will be on the chopping block. I need to get it done before the end of the month, so I'll need to take it seriously. For now though, I take the Gauntlet Runner to the catacombs.
Taking up the request of the man in Martyra, the Gauntlet Runner makes its way southwest of the town. The mysterious individual could very well become a source of new power, though they have yet to quite grasp that.
Me and Stroll spend the afternoon polishing our blades, talking. But the peaceful times come to an end, as we're attacked by, that guy who gave us lip telling us we're not worthy to run a land runner, and tells us his name is Goddard, and tells us his plan to tax the young and the old live prosperously. I'll admit, it was a pretty annoying fight, mainly for the reason of he would spam wind-based attacks, which was Stroll's weakness. So to be able to fight him, I had to have Stroll blocking for half the fight, so it dragged it on for a tad bit, but thankfully he went down without much trouble after that.
Remember, we all grow old. The blade you hold to my throat will be at your own soon enough.
Nobody's trying to massacre the elderly, you old goat. We want equal happiness for all, young and old. God above. Look, we'll not kill you here. How's that for respecting our elders? But mark me, this will not happen again.
Far too naive. But I suppose that's the luxury of youth.
The Gauntlet Runner at last arrives at an encampment as darkness overcomes the wilds. Nightfall, the time of hunting for monster kind. Even with the Gauntlet Runner, it is no time for travel. As monsters come more alive with every breath, the thirst for adventure is quenched.
During the night, I stood guard with Heismay, which happened to pay off as we were attacked by something that Heismay took care of, and because of all of that, my tolerance is now level 2, so that's nice. Tomorrow, we'll be at the catacombs. I can't wait to get Grievous' knife back.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Nothing too exciting happened prior to our arrival at the catacombs, merely me and Stroll tending to our blades talking.
The party finally arrives at the abandoned tomb. It is said an affluent aristocrat is entombed here. However, if true, his only visitors these days are tomb robbers seeking his wealth. Are the rare blades and shimmering jewelry merely a trap to draw in more victims?
We arrive to the catacombs, and this place is quite interesting. They have creatures that can copy a chest and then attack foolish travelers. I guess you can call them mimics. In fact, the king of this area was one of these creatures, even was in a giant chest, which, I mean, look at it. I just had to open it, which of course led to a boss fight. Although I'm pretty sure the fight was intended for 3 people. As of Heismay with us, it was honestly a cakewalk, as Hulkenberg takes it down.
Let justice prevail!
With its defeat, we were able to collect the key we needed to open the door to where the ring was held. We talk about the stories of the ring, wondering if any of it is valid. Hulkenberg believes it's all to be utter rubbish. But when asked to try it on, she's quite hesitant. As I volunteered Gallica to do it, she can wear it like a belt. As she disagrees, thinking I should have it. Well, we're getting nowhere with this, so we end the conversation with me holding onto it. After all, I need to give it to the guy. And with that, we head back to Matira to enjoy a feast.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We've got 10 days before we must leave Matira. I think I'll explore the castle tomorrow to bring the culprit to justice. For now though, I wanted to give the picture to Maria. Since I can talk to Fabian, she thinks we failed at our goal of candidacy and tries to reassure us, but I decided to tell her about how our gauntlet runner can teleport. She's just confused, but decides to believe me since I don't look like I'm in a defeated mood. And I tell her that I'm here to give Maria a picture, which she's happy to hear, giving it to her straight away. Apparently it made her light up, which I'm happy to hear, but sadly she's still locked herself in her room. She's not over everything that's happened, it seems. And it seems that she wants me to talk to her, and of course I will. It's Maria after all. So we go to her room straight away. Fabian tells me that she's been holed up in her room for some time, adding that she seems to feel the need to put on a brave face. It seems she's bottling up her emotions, something that Fabian agrees with. She then worries about the Luis supporters finding out about Maria's existence. That's true, that could spell trouble. Telling me that she believes the inn is suffocating poor Maria, asking me to take her somewhere, to walk, and I agree to anything for Maria, as we go for a walk. We're walking, she's thankful for me coming with her. It's been a while since she has, then tells me about a story where the first time she came here, she fell over and her father pat her on the head and asked if she's okay. She then goes quiet, thinking about her father. I reassure her that she can tell me anything. She replies that there's something, a whole lot of somethings, but she's unsure on where to start. Suddenly, behind us, there's 2 men talking about Grius' attempt at assassinating Luis, saying some quite disrespectful things, as I tell Maria that we should go somewhere else. She agrees, asking for my stories outside the capital. I agree with that as we walk together. We get back to the inn and some young boys are drawing on the front of the inn. Maria tells the boys to stop scribbling there since it's Fabian's house. One of the boys shoved Maria. I check up on her and she said that she's alright. They're all being rude, calling her all sorts of disgusting things like half-blood, and that her parents didn't want her and needed a parapet to take care of her. I try to be the voice of reason, telling them to clean it up. Honestly, just wanted to smack him in the back of the head, but they leave. Maria asks if she's weird, and of course she isn't, at least in my eyes. She apologizes since she got dirt on the picture, but I can always get her another one. She adds that she was so happy when I gave it to her, knowing that I didn't forget our promise. I respond that I could never break a promise with her. She's happy to hear, and with her feeling better looking at the drawing, our bond is stronger. She then asks me about her parents' death, asking if it's her fault. She's a kid, is that why they're not saying it? I tell her that it's not her fault, because truthfully, it isn't it. It was Luis's fault, for her father at least. She's sad not knowing why she can't see him anymore, and wanted to go back to Fabian. And before she can ask, I say that I'll meet her again. This makes her happy, and then I leave her to Fabian. And during the night, I face Cuculus with the ring that he wanted, and he did his magic, using all sorts of tricks to get the dagger back, telling me that he would have asked for the clothes on his back, but he had a feeling I wouldn't like that, telling me the obvious fact that it was all a lie. With that though, the dagger is back in my hand, and mission complete. My rank with the populace is now 2,996. But he's honest, thanking me for getting the ring, admitting that the ring is important to him, saying with it, everyone will finally be free. Not sure what that's all about, but he tells me that he wants to help me. He can see that I'm the real deal, truly fated to be king. But he can see too that I need winning strategies. Gallagher is unsure, calling him a con artist, but he retorts that deception is more than an art, you know. He adds that I'm honest to a fault. For me to become king, I'll need someone versed in the morally grey area. Which is where he comes in, of course. This isn't free, it's a business deal. We'll give him info about places we visit, things tournament related, and about the royal magic. That sounds fair, as with ourselves starting business dealings, he introduces himself as Alonso, that's apparently his real name, and with that we go to the inn. I give him all I know, mainly the things that happen at the capital, but I kept quiet about the stirrings in Matera. He's happy to have the info, as my first lesson starts now. He believes I've led a rough life due to my tribe. The place is full of unsavory folks. If I want to improve my life, we must show no mercy. If we're made a fool, pay back in spades. Kindness is weakness, and the weak get robbed blind. Well, I'm a kind person by nature, but I'll have to keep that in mind. I can't get a read on Alonso, if that's his real name, but his tactics might be useful. So we strike an alliance, showing itself to be the heroic archetype of the faker. With that, he tells me that he has little care for who wears the crown next, but if it's me, he wagers it will be quite the ride, telling me he'll be at Browhaven, and to meet him there. Alright Alonso, I'll see you there in at least 2 weeks. For now, we go our separate ways, and I turn in for the night.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We've already got what we need to do this, and I've steeled my resolve, so I jump into the well. As we're walking, the lights went out, and a creature appeared cloaked in the darkness. I couldn't get a good look as it was gone. We're left to wonder what it is, but it's likely the one that's terrorizing this town as we push onwards. Pulling levers to progress further, eventually we made it to an area in the sewers where Morris was calling us an irritating lot. We call him out for his crimes he's committed, adding that Barden has secured all exits. Morris thinks it's funny that we think the guards can stop them, saying, is it really time to be running our mouths when he's hungry? He whistles and runs away, laughing. The creature from earlier appears and is scanning the area for us. We think about the situation. We do need a head for the tournament, but we also need to think about the fact that we might not be able to actually take it. I have confidence in my skills, but I also don't believe I could, so I think I'll avoid it for now, as we were able to evade the creature long enough for it to leave. We're left to think just what it is, and how Morris has control of it, but I do think Heismay has a point. We should probably leave before it comes back, as we push onwards to another encounter with Morris, calling us terribly lucky to survive. Holkenberg calls him out, saying he'll be at the end of a blade soon enough. He replies for us to shut up, calling us nothing but bait, adding that we're welcome to come after him, but it's feeding time. As with another whistle, the creature arrives, as we're left to hide from the monster and avoid its gaze. I have this weird feeling that in another life, I got demolished by whatever the creature was, but I shake off those feelings and move forward. We enter a new area with Morris saying that he's had it with us, as he yells at us and him and Heismay have a spat. But he's fine with it, after all, it's hungry as he runs away. We want to pursue him, but we look around, it's just endless water. We need to drain the water before we may pursue him, sadly. So we get to work, and with the last one pulled, we're able to continue. And not a moment sooner as we hear the creature's horrible cries. In the next room we found some crystals that have an endless supply of trash mobs, so I used it to replenish my magla, and then kept pushing forwards. But we got ourselves in a very bad situation, as the lights go out and that thing is near, as I see it staring right at me. We're left to run for our lives, because I do not want to know what happened if it caught me. Thankfully, I'm pretty lucky, and we were able to catch a lift that actually works, as we thank whoever is above as we're revved up to beat up Morris. We're face to face with Morris, who's standing next to Lady Joanna. Could she be a part of it? Or just a hostage? Holkenberg calls him a cur, as Morris simply calls us dull and hopeless, as the sound of the creature is loud, but we have no time to focus on that, as his plan to drag us here worked, and we're sent down a trapdoor. I awaken inside a cell door, hearing a familiar voice cry out about being a captain. It sounded like Klinger, what is he doing here? But by the sounds of it, and his cries, he has met an untimely fate. I guess in a way, Stroll got his form of justice for that day. Still, what a way to go out. But we're still stuck in the cage. Morris comes to boast that it's almost time to feed the beasts. After all, we'll be the next corpse though. Unfortunately, the time has come. There's a limit to the bait that they can provide, and he is going to run while he can, telling us to stay healthy, laughing as he walks away. However, it seems that Morris forgot about one thing. I wasn't alone. Gallica was small enough to go for the bars and let me out, but we had a fight with some wolves for my freedom, which wasn't that bad. I was left to do the same for my allies, but I had to be smart about it, as it sets free some monsters. Heismay was first, Hulkenberg was second, and the final one was Stroll, where we faced a chimera-like beast. But with all three of us freed, that was not much trouble. But with their defeat, we pushed onwards to stop Morris's plan. But on our way, we saw where Klinger was brutally killed. We're left to be in silence. I mean, he was a coward of a man, but to die like that... Well, regardless, we push onwards. Entering what seems to be Joanna's personal quarters, it's truthfully eerie. Barton said she was childless, and on top of all that, she has a portrait where she's pregnant. She has no husband nor child. It's most strange, but the dreadful truth came out when Stroll read the entry of the child's caretaker.
See. Apparently, Joanna was unmarried, never formally bound in marriage to the father of her child.
So 'twas a love child? An illicit affair?
Apparently so. At least here in Martyra. The father was a foreigner of another tribe. Their marriage would never have been accepted. The traditionalists always say mixed blood children are abominations. Terrible omens. And superstitions like that tend to carry a lot more weight in the countryside. Joanna brushed it off. Said it was ridiculous and irrational. She was about to announce the child's birth. The old woman, the nanny they'd hired, she killed the boy in his crib.
What?
Seems like this was around the time the human sightings were becoming more widespread.
It would be easy to ascribe the birth as the ill-fated omen.
Joanna's family was overjoyed. The deed kept the abomination out of the public eye. They never even investigated her crime. And Joanna's love. The father was banished from the city. The nurse's diary concludes, "O God, please forgive me for my sin most wicked."
Let's move on. This is looking worse by the minute.
What a vile act done from a place of hate. My heart pains for Joanna, but if she's the one doing this, then it's not excusable. We look around, and there's talkings of a baby being alive, and an abnormally large crib. It's ominous, and there's a door with fog rolling under. I know where this is leading, as I open the door. We enter the room and see Joanna talking to her baby, calling it Fussy. That's no baby, that's a vile creature. But Joanna doesn't listen, talking about her child's hearty appetite, adding that Morris has brought them food, but he has no words to this, as she calls him useless. He even failed to eliminate us and has brought Heismay to them. However...
But no matter. You look tender enough for my darling's liking.
What?
This is your child. It just devoured a man. All I see is a mindless monster.
And a monster is what I see when I look upon the world. People are beasts of fear and superstition, murderers without remorse. I have done nothing they've not done to me. Abominations. They are the unnatural. They deserve to die. They should all be so glad to nourish my child. My dear, sweet child.
as love should nurture. But this is beyond the pale.
And you? Do you not condemn her? She kidnapped children, murdered them in cold blood, and would see you blamed for it.
In truth, I know this woman's pain all too well.
Huh?
In the name of her child, she was willing to turn against the entire world. Behind her atrocities, I see the devotion of a bereaved parent. You found yourself unjustly in a terrible darkness, and I struggle to blame you. Burying your own child is unbearable. Grief and madness fill the gaps where love had been. But my eyes were opened. These people helped me see. The only way to beat the darkness is to confront it. Step by meager step. You must walk back to our reality. Look upon that and see true that it is not the child you once loved.
Be silent! You know nothing of it. Your sermons better suit a preacher, but that is not your place here. You are here to be eaten!
Good. Show me your hate. Pour out your darkness. We'll fight, but not in justice's name. Grief is its own death, so we will show you life!
Darling, are you still hungry? Mother wants you to play with your food! Come, my darling. It's time for supper. Eat up.
All the people who disappeared. This must have been the last thing they ever saw.
We break his tragic curse here and now. It's the only way we might mourn them. Let us finish this, Captain. We'll put an end to this horror, whatever the cost.
This vile creature that takes form of a baby was an absolute slug. As all types of strong attacks that drop our defenses, our ways of countering it is to destroy its eyes. But I had no real way of doing it due to focusing mostly on my team in physical. I had 2 almighty attacks in Gold Attack and Life Drain, which I use a lot in this fight, while having a stockpile of weak fire spread damage for Stroll. This fight was truly a slug. It went for almost 20 minutes, something that is no thanks to Joanna healing her child, a considerable amount of health, or how Gallica said, she healed the demon baby, but it just postponed the inevitable of its defeat. But it nearly took every single one of my resources I had to actually take it down, as I land the finishing blow.
Not long ago, I too had a child. But I couldn't protect him. It was in a nearby village. Some paripus started a riot, and my son was caught in the middle of it. They beat him until he was barely recognizable. Even bloodied and battered, he clung to life. But his body was broken. He couldn't move. And not a single person came to his aid. He was a Ujif, and to them, that's all he was. But he was a helpless child, left to die in a pool of his own blood. By the time I finally got to him, it had been hours. It was too late.
I had no idea.
I couldn't abide it. Reality was too painful, and I ran until I was spending my nights and days in the sandworm's pit. Better to live in solitude than in the embers of hell. That was the real reason I lived in that den of beasts. I thought death would be a mercy.
Heisme.
And then these meddlers came along. They dragged me under the night sky I'd not seen in many seasons. And beneath those stars, it finally came to me. This is not the life my son would have wanted for me. That thought changed my whole perspective. His memory deserves love, not pain. Look with your eyes and your heart. You can ignore it no longer. You loved your child, not this creature. And the child you loved is gone.
If I could have sacrificed my life instead, I swear I would have done it. I loved my son with all of my heart.
I know. Nobody could ever deny you that. And now, the nightmare is over.
What do we do? Do we present this creature as evidence?
I don't know. Our testimony's likely not enough to prove this monster was behind the disappearances, and it'd be easily denounced as a publicity stunt.
Do you recall the promise I made when first we met? I pledged my political support if you were able to solve this matter. I fear that after all this, it is a boon I can no longer provide. But if you need a head to present to the judges, perhaps it could be my own.
You'd have us cut off your head?
If that is your decision, I will accept it. However, that seems unlikely to clear Heisme's name. Please take me to the exhibition of the brave. I will confess the truth before the masses. Surely the evidence will be undeniable when heard from my lips.
Yet as a holy woman, 'twould be bold-faced ignominy to sanctifex Forden. You risk dire consequences, possibly even without trial.
I have but one request. Before I depart, I would ensure all my duties are passed to my successor. I know I ask much of you, but would Barden and I be permitted to join you in Oceania later on? I will atone for my sins. For my son's sake, I must.
What should we do? There's no guarantee she won't take this opportunity to escape.
But I see her point. The people here have suffered enough unrest. If she is to leave them, she must ensure they still have guidance, else they'll fall to chaos and panic.
You are our captain. The decision is ultimately yours.
I'm choosing to trust Joanna. Right.
You're too nice for your own good. But you might have a point about not forcing her.
Our treatment of her might reflect on her confession too. Don't want anyone saying we coerced it out of her.
Then 'tis settled.
Oh, thank you for your kindness. 1,000 times. Thank you. Oh, how curious. It's as if the fog has finally lifted from me.
With our mission complete and my belief in Joanna doing the right thing, we meet up with Barden as he tells us he knows about Joanna. He will assume the duty as her escort and will ensure Heisme's name will be cleared, adding that since we stopped the kidnapper, we'll be paid in full. Nereus likes the sound of that. talking about all sorts of ways to make the runner better than ever, but Hayes may request that I spare some money for the bereaved families. He knows it's not his place, but he believes their pain is unbearable. I think on it, and to be honest, we only need the head. We need not the money. As I say, it's all theirs. Both Falkenberg and Stroll agree with that, as Barden calls us true knights, adding he'll make sure the people hear of our bravery, while Stroll reminds him not to tell the public everything as he leaves. With Barden gone, we compliment Heismay for being a true hero in all of this, finding the secret entrance and being the start of the whole thing, asking if he'd like to join us, as we can still use his strength. He asks about our race for the crown, and that's when we all agree to tell him the full truth, in which this is for the prince who is still alive, but in an eternal slumber. He's shocked to hear and reinvigorates him to join us, saying his life may not hold much, but he'd gladly pledge it to our noble cause. If he is to choose a lord out of loyalty instead of dependence, then there's no shame in that. As I respond that not a lord, but a friend. And he agrees with that, as my rank in the populace has reached the triple digits, now being 981. After that, I noticed that Gallica seems to be down, seeming to think that she didn't do enough, but I mean, the only reason we escaped was her pulling that lever, but she seems to be having something in mind, thankfully, as our bond has grown stronger. Now that we're done here and we have the head, we decide to get ready for Briarhaven, but turns out a landslide has appeared on the road, so we're stuck here until it's done, but we're reassured that we'll still get there in time for the competition. So that's nice, just glad that Matera is finally free.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts off with me reporting the completed mission and more. He's happy, saying that with it he recalled an important memory concerning the fantasy novel. He states that he was once on a journey much like my own. He passed through many different cities on his travels. As he went, he wrote his experiences, which turned into the foundation of his novel. I think that's fascinating, as he adds that the novel is his hopes and dreams made manifest. He also learned and endured some painful truths. It served as a reminder of the importance of dreams. Despite the pain of making it, he's happy that it can be helpful, something I confirm he's happy to hear, as he admits that, despite forgetting his travels, it's nostalgic, stating that at first his reasons to help me were selfish in nature, but now he wants to help from the bottom of his heart. With the honesty of that statement felt in my heart, our bond grows stronger. With that, my next mission is laid out. For me, this time I have to get 15 different archetypes studied. Right now I have 12, so I've got some work to do, something I hope Barden may help as we talk. He starts the conversation once again, thanking me for our help with saving his town. Suddenly, a guy calls out to him, thanking him for fixing his shop's wall, and they have a small conversation as he tells me that whatever we matter he can take care of, he will, even if they don't turn out as well as mine. That statement confuses me as two people get into a scuffle, something that Barden himself has to step in to stop. Apologizing for all that, I ask if there's trouble around, but he admits that people are on edge. It's strange, neighbors getting into brawls, good lads fighting. The whole town's anxious, saying that's why he wanted to talk with me, talking about the diversity of my group, asking how we're able to work so well, and how do we all become one. I say that we share the same goal, which is true to slay Luis and free the prince, but he doesn't know that. He believes that the answer is fitting of me, deciding that Matera needs a new leader and a new system in which the people govern the town. I think that's a good idea. Barden can be the beacon to guide them, as well, he's reassured by my words, and asks for my console when the time is needed, and I agree to that as we shake hands and we form a bond showing itself to be the heroic archetype of the commander. And with that, we go our separate ways. And during the night, I went back to the capital to meet up with Brigida. Seems that something's happened as she is hesitant, but then lets me inside, saying that she has no more work for me as the dog is gone. I ask if it ran away, but she wishes that was the case, and it was taken. She apologizes, knowing that I kept my silence as promised, but alas, it did not stop a thief disguised as a vendor, leaving a letter saying, "Those spread magic nighters shall face the wrath of God." By those words, I can get what happened, as she tells me that it won't be long till she knows who and where they are. She'll make certain that they pay their due. It wasn't just one person, but an organization, anti-Igniter extremists to be exact, calling them filthy, rotten cowards, knowing the pup was innocent in all of this. She's having a hard time wondering how long must she live in this hideous world, wishing to disappear. I can't think of a way to help her from the despair that she feels, but an idea came to me as I opened my book and read. She calls it quaint, adding the author is a sheltered man, knowing not the real world. I mean, she's not wrong with his current position, but she adds that the only equality is that we all die. The path to that point is different for everyone, meaning everyone's fights their own hell. I can see her point, as she thinks my life was hell too. Maybe not the same as hers, I've still got some light. She can't see that light, but she really believes in me and my vision. Within her profound sadness, we can relate, as our bond grows stronger. She then tells me to take my pay as a reply that I don't want it, but she tells me that my work is over as my client is no longer here, adding that I don't need to return, but I know I will. For now though, I'll let her mourn. Rest in peace, Mr. Dog. It was a female.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today, we're gearing up to take on another bounty request. This time, it's the sandworm that's been terrorizing the miners. Funny, this journey started with sandworms, and even still, we're dealing with the buggers, so let's get going.
They head to a cave said to consume all who enter. Does the dark, narrow path lead only to the innards of a monstrous insect? Perhaps.
On our way, I caught up on some reading. Naris left a book out. I felt curious about its contents, so I read it, which increased my eloquence.
Man-Eater's Grotto. How many weary travelers, traveling merchants, and treasure hunters have fallen prey to it? Behind its innocuous-looking entrance, untold monsters lie in wait, impatient for their next meal. The gauntlet runner comes to a stop, the entrance beckoning its visitors invitingly. What lies in its depths? Treasure or death?
Something to note when we arrive is that Gallica's face sight seemed to have detected something. It seems that one of the pieces that Neris has been looking for rests in this cave. So we'll have to go and find it, which wasn't hard for an expert spelunker like me. Finding some strange-looking mineral with a mysterious light inside, Gallica believes that it may be a relic. And since she can detect them, I see no reason to doubt her intuition, so I pocket it and make it to the door, ready to face the Alpha Sandworm. What I didn't realize was there's actually two of them, not just one. They dealt a decent amount of damage and decreased my evasion, but I can defeat them as I take one down, but of course, wouldn't be that easy, as the other sandworms summon another in its place. We're gonna have to be smart about this, resetting the fight and playing it close, trying to get them to near death, but letting them live with just a little sliver of health, and finally ending it off with a simple ice scroll.
Come forth, royal soul! Stay sharp! Are you prepared? Here!
With their defeat, Holgenberg takes our trophy, it's the Eye of the Sandworm, as she thinks about the ways the sandworms in Matira are prepared. It seems that the sandworm food has not escaped Holkenberg's mind. As we head back to Matira to enjoy a feast. She probably ate sandworm, let's be honest.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts and I turn in the bounty to the guard and collect my reward for helping those miners out. And thanks to that, my rank with the populace is now 631. We're getting there slowly. But I felt like some skull crushing today, so I went to the mausoleum. Lots of slimes around though, but there was some skeletons about. Must have been the remnants of Zorba's power. But we've got 2 quests today, and I completed the first one, collecting the skulls required. With that completed, I now need the necklace. So I find the door with black fog rolling under, and get ready for a showdown. To be brutally honest, the fight was kind of a pushover. The main skeletal force was quite weak, all things considered, and the big bad evil boss was too busy spreading ailments and then instantly killing to pose any real threat, unless one of us was fated to die by him. If I had Patra, it would have made this fight a joke, but alas, he went down.
Come forth, royal soul!
He's gonna get hit with backlash if he attacks!
Scour!
With the boss's defeat and the necklace in our hands, we went back to the entrance and hand the guard the skulls he needs to keep his on his shoulder. He's thankful and we talk about all sorts of superstitions, the one that gets people like him on the chopping block. But he's thankful for me doing this for him, apologizing for ever doubting me, and with that we head back to Matira to enjoy a feast. I'll get that necklace back to the noble soon enough. If I feel like it, he was a right old bastard after all.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We're back in the capital, and I noticed that the Honeybee Inn is endorsing us with a very cute sign. I wonder if Maria made it. Speaking of her, I decided I wanted to spend more time with her. Before that, I show her the drawing of the giant sandworm husk. She's amazed by it, happy, wanting to tell me lots of things, but she needs to go shopping. So I decided to tag along with her, making her happy. We walk by, we see a flower shop. Maria told me her father took her once. She rode on his shoulders and she felt like a grown-up. I ask if she wants to buy some. She's excited as we continue to walk and see a poor starving Parapus. Maria, bless her heart, wants to feed him while the people around say some cruel things. But the words get to Maria a little, but I tell her not to think about it. As she gives the poor boy some food, she asks him where he lives and he's brutally honest. He has no one, his family is dead, and he ran from a merchant trying to sell him. And now he's here, he's all alone, and he wished he was dead. He wants to, but the hunger's too painful, thanking us for the food. It's cruel to see the hate in this world. Maria, seeing that, asks if she's going to end up like him. I reassure her that Fabian will always be with her. She's unsure, asking if she can join us on our adventures, but then she doubts herself that she'll be useful. However, it's too dangerous anyways, so I can't even let her go. But with all this worry, she asked me not to tell Fabian, but she seemed to be reinvigorated, wanting to work harder and harder, and with that, our bond is stronger. She thinks she should get back before Fabian gets too worried. That sounds like a good idea, but I have some fears. I feel like Maria might overexert herself to try and not get kicked out by Fabian, even though it will never happen. And with that, night comes, and I give Neris the relic from the sandworm pit. He messes around with it, a little jiggle here, a little jiggle there, and the relic is free. He inspects it, calling it a proper piece of treasure. Gallica is surprised since it was in an unsuspecting chest, but Neris is hit with a eureka. His greatest invention yet is coming up, thanking me, but he's surprised the old codger was onto something. That surprises me, asking if he would mislead Neris, and he confirms. He says it's the genuine thing, but so too is his gullibility. Telling me he'll never forget the night of his birthday, getting a book, a gift, a horrifying tome called Lamination of the Underworld. He took the liberty to not only read it, but to scare him with a monster costume and chase him around. Sounds like it traumatized the poor dude. But with that, Neris tells us that he believes that all the pieces, it will form into something. I don't care about this so-called limitless powers he's spouting on about. I just want to see it completed now, even if Gallica calls it junk. However, we do get a small touch of Neris' backstory, of him being a part of a prominent family, but then one day, the old codger beckoned him with a finger of fate. And curiosity got the best of him, and well, here we are. But hey, at least his heart isn't in something he loves, and fate had it he eventually became an engineer. I'm finally understanding that crazy coot more, honestly, as our bond grows stronger. With that, we're left to use the clues on the paper and hope we can find it soon enough, as I head to bed.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
I guess it's been enough time as I give the noble his necklace, begrudgingly at least. However, he was at least kind enough to apologize and give it a little history with his kind wife who he doesn't deserve. His words, not mine, but I agree. With that, the mission is complete. And I talk to Schroll as it's time for him to face Halia once more to find this so-called inheritance. Although due to him being the same old stubborn troll, he feels bad for having to use the gauntlet runner. But it's fine, that's what friends do. We arrive and it's a chilling sight. Buildings crushed, weathered, and nature slowly reclaiming it. But in a way, I can see the original town, and it's beautiful. He admits that the gauntlet runner makes it feel like a walk away, but when he fled for his life, the nearest settlement was leagues away. He tells me a little history of the town, saying this was once the village's main road, full of people crossing every which way, adding more things that sound like it's out of a fantasy novel, wishing I could see it, but I know with a strong man like him behind it, I'll see it. He's shocked to silence, but I can see those words made an impression on him. He thinks about all that's happened in the last 7 years, talking about how he shuffled between one noble family to the next. He went to the remains of his family's once proud manor and found a letter tucked in the corner of his father's study and asked me for a favor. He has no doubt the letter is supposed will, and he must read it, but he wishes to do it alone, and asks for me to wait. Of course, man, I know how noble you like to be, so you don't want me to see those manly tears. He thanks me and does what he needs to. After some time pass, he confirms there is indeed an inheritance, saying it's in the capital, but he's unsure where it is as it's unfinished due to obvious reasons, getting mad at the human who did all of this, but then regains his composure, apologizing. His father named him the sole inheritant, even addressing the letter as my beloved son Stroll. But just like him, he doesn't believe he deserves those kinds of words. Only when the once great city he called home is brought back to its former glory, does he think he'll ever embrace those words, my beloved son. Stroll trusts me, but I gotta say it, he's such a drama queen. But now that we know it's in the capital, we have to find out who may know or really where it could possibly be. First clue might come when I ask what type of man his father was. He gives me a simple explanation, seeming to really enjoy fish, which gives him an idea of we might find out through them, though the capital is quite big. I'll have to see what I can do, as I've got a new mission, and a personal one at that, as we return to the capital. And during the night, Brigida is standing where she usually is, so I strike up a conversation with her. Despite her wanting me not to get involved, my unwavering courage is able for her to let me stand by her side once more. And I could have done it at a better time, as she's talking about the anti-ignitic extremists. The location has been found by the church, a small village on the outskirts of the capital. She plans on going there and eradicating them all. She's going to kill every last one of those extremists. No survivors. Once they go to hell, they can look at that dog in the eyes and beg for forgiveness. A little extreme in my opinion, but she just keeps going. She's going to string their corpses for all to see and lets the elements take their toll on them, and then she asks for my help with this task, but I would rather not taint my soul with such horrific and barbaric means. She calls me a fraud of a candidate for disagreeing, which is when I'm honest and tell her I'm going in not for me to be king, but for another. She calls it utter nonsense, but also for me to speak such words. She sees no point in me lying, at least, but then directs her rage to me, wishing to see me fall, since I'll let heathens butcher a poor dog. I rebut her that she's going to commit genocide. She asks, what do you get with clean hands? The quality I prize so highly, it means nothing to her. Not wanting more to be lost, more that she cares for at least. I get where she's coming from, but she doesn't think I do. The dog brought comfort to her, but now it's gone. But I was able to get her to agree to not do it, but she'll be going to the town and seeing what truly happened. And I will be coming with her, of course, since I caused the change in her heart. And alas, it's that or genocide, so I better get going. We get there, and by the looks of it, it's just a small village of innocent and simple living Ujifs, unknowing of a dog or holding anti-ignited beliefs. But the church has been around wanting to sell them, but get turned away each time. Could be the church has something to do with this? I don't think so, but Brigida has come to the conclusion that it's just a village, wondering since the church gave her the detailing, wondering why. I think with their talks it's to sell more magic igniters, but I don't know. But that, she thinks it's best to go back. No killing will be done today, thanking me for it since if I wasn't there, it would have been senseless slaughter. And with that, our bond has grown stronger. But of course, that means her journey to find her dog's killer is still going strong once again, saying my job is complete. But at this point, she can just stop bringing it up. I'm not leaving no matter how much she wants me to, even calling me strange, thinking back on what I said about giving the crown to someone else, wanting to support me all the same, knowing that when she's with me, she finds even herself has a beating heart. And with that, she takes me back to the capital, and the day soon comes to an end. I'm on a mission to find the person that Stroll's father got fish from. I look around the market in the capital, and it's a good start, as he's likely still selling fish, if he's still with us at least. With a little bit of luck, I found someone who's selling fish. I might get some luck. I ask him about the Count of Halia, and he asks me how may I know that great man. I say I know his son Stroll, but he's not believing it since Clamar nobles aren't ones to befriend elders. I ask if he knows about the inheritance. He's getting a little heated, thinking it to be a big scam, saying he'll tell everyone far and wide, talking more about Stroll's father, and honestly, sounds like the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Stroll's father is a lot like his son, something that shocked him when I said it, seeming to believe me now, somewhat, and directs me to another person here. Apparently the Count had some dealings with this merchant in particular, and gives me a location on where he might be, and sure enough, I found him. But he turned me away, saying he only does business with his clients or by referral. I ask if he knows the late Count, and he confirms but doesn't believe I have ties to the Count, calling me riffraff. Sadly, my imagination is not high enough, so I can't continue the conversation as of yet, as I call it a day on doing that, going to the inn to check up on Maria, but I can't find her, and said Fabian wants to talk to me, asking if I said anything to Maria. Since I left, Maria has been working extra hard, wanting to help with everything, no matter what the task was. I knew this was going to happen. She's happy Maria is helping, but she's also worried, as she can see Maria is trying desperately to find something. Suddenly, we hear an angry man's voice. We head down quickly, and Maria had seemed to accidentally drop someone's drink. Fabian gets mad at him for shouting at a child. He scolds her for a poor service Maria is giving her, but Fabian is a lovely lady and tells him to leave his clothes at the door, and she'll clean them and get him a free drink. As Fabian asks me to take Maria upstairs, and I do. We sit on the bed and she apologizes for that. I tell her she doesn't need to, but she says that Fabian was busy talking to me, so she thought that she could give the customer a drink. Just wanted to show Fabian that she can be more useful, asking me if I think Fabian will get rid of her. I remind her that she wouldn't do such a thing, but she thinks about her father, crying as Fabian enters the room to comfort her, telling her that the big scary customer is gone now. Maria tells Fabian between sniffles that she'll be a good girl from now on. She won't cause any more trouble, saying that even though they're not family, can she stay? Fabian realizes what this is all about. Maria's been worried about this whole time, telling her she doesn't need to worry about earning her keep. This is her home. She may not be her mother, but Maria is still precious treasure to her, considering her as a daughter. Adding that her father didn't abandon her. He did everything he could because he truly cared for her. Couldn't say it better than myself, as Fabian tells her that even if we can't see him anymore, we know without a doubt he's watching over all of us. All he did was ask about Maria. He regretted every second he was away from her. It would make him so happy to see Maria grow up. But more than anything, he wanted a world in where she could smile and laugh. Her existence gave him the strength to keep going, and she feels the same with Maria. There she can weather any storm, reminding her once more that this is her home, and to be rest assured, we'll have plenty of days of laughter ahead of us. She can come to Fabian if she's happy, sad, or wants to hear about Grius. I think hearing those words directly from Fabian finally let Maria truly understand that she's with family that cares for her, having a big goofy smile that I love to see as a bongo stronger. With that, Fabian asked me to check up on Maria from time to time to see how she's faring. I agree on that, as we hear more about the big scary customer. He was in a bad mood due to personal issues, losing his job and having issues with his wife, being mature enough to know what he did was wrong, and asked for Fabian to personally apologize to Maria for him, and well, that was kind of him. Maria seems to understand a little more that there's more that she can do, as Fabian tells her little treasure to wash up, and before bed she'll let her taste some new dishes. She's happy, thanking me for everything, and with that, we go our separate ways. During the night, I wanted to spend time with Heisme, but alas, it doesn't seem the time is right as my eloquence isn't enough. So I should focus on increasing that, so I see a stage where I can have debates with other candidates. The topic was on taxes. He was quite passionate, way too passionate than me, as my arguments fall flat against his passion. However, I did get a small boost in my eloquence and imagination, so that's fine, but I still feel the bitter taste of defeat as I head back to the inn.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Only a few more days until the quest continues to Browhaven, so I decided to join Hulkenberg to the capital for sturdier training swords. We completed our quest, but as we were walking, we hear Radamp's booming voice ordering an execution. Hulkenberg asks him to stop, but he asks if she's interrupting his duties. Hulkenberg responds that what Knight Commander proceeds over executions? He just says that it's only right as those who would do this nation harm will be punished. I ask what he did. It was treason, a petty officer who slandered the honor of the Royal Knights. The guy calls them the ones who are honorless, just dogs barking on command. That enrages Rodamp, wanting to whip him on top of his hanging. Hulkenberg calls this all insolence, but we can't stop him as he hangs the poor soul, leaving the innocent civilians stunned as they could be next. But Hulkenberg gives him a talking to, calling that public butchery. But he simply states that he's upholding the order of the capital. It's only natural to punish those who spread lies. Hulkenberg asks if he sold his soul to the Sanctus, but he just replies that it hardly matters who wins, as long as the knights remain, saying this is the role of one who has risen to command, much different from ones who are freewheeling frivolous like Hulkenberg. She calls him a poisonous toad. He replies this bold words, threatening to kill us both. I tell him to try it, but he tells us that pity stays his hand today, but next time. He leaves after saying that. Quite ominous. Hulkenberg is left conflicted by all of it, saying that power isn't a tool to torment and kill innocent lives. It's meant to guide the weak, to make a better country. She apologizes for once again getting me into trouble, but honestly, I'm used to it. She thanks me, and with that, our bond is stronger. Though she tells me that she's partly to blame for how he turned up, but that's a story for another day, as I see that Parapus man walking away. I wonder what his deal is. Regardless of that, it's now night, and the podium is free to use, so I get up there and give them a speech on how to help the small town with getting tourists to come and maybe even stay. I say that they should bolster their local culinary. It's not to my taste, but maybe there's more Hulkenbergs out there. That was satisfactory to the people of the small town, as I get max eloquence and wrap up the day.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Another day, another debate. This time it's with a very lively individual wanting every day to be a fun one with free booze and parties. But I win the debate with the simple fact that alcohol won't bring equality, something that turns everyone to my favor and gives me enough drive to get to level 2 in eloquence and to get to rank 386 in the popularity rank. But now that I'm level 2, I can finally train with the main man Heisme, something that he is willing to do since I've proven myself, and it's going to be a simple test, seeing if my reaction time can keep up with his speed. And sure enough, that Shadow Guard training is no joke, as he speeds past my defenses and he says that it's a simple slit of the throat from here, calling me careless. But I won't give up. He gives me a tip to use my body to sense the movements rather than my eyes. I ask how I can achieve that, but he replies that it's a part of the training. There's no true answer. I must decide what I aspired to do. Quite vague, but we kept going, and eventually we're done for today and go to Heisme's area in the runner. We have a nice cup of tea, as he tells me that it's nothing compared to the ones of his hometown. I ask him if he misses his home. He replies not really, but talking to me reminds him of his son, telling me his son never got to see Heisme's hometown. He looked up to the knights, he had a stout heart and a little frame. He may have been a fine knight if he was still alive. Alas, another wish unfulfilled, reminding him of the day he cremated his boy. I ask him what he means. He remembers that other tribes do different things post-mortem, and explains that Ujifs burn the bodies, relieving only their bones. The soul is freed within the flames, and those who remain must bury the bones in a place the deceased would deem suitable. He has yet to see a place to bury his son's bones. He can't imagine a place like that. He seems to want what's best for his son, as despite his apologies, I want to help him on his mission. Despite his resistance at first, I want to do this for a friend. After a short pause, he thanks me for my kindness. And with that promise given to Heismay, we have a short toast and our bond has grown stronger. He thanks me and informs me that we can do it when we're free, and for once Heismay will rest well. Something I'm glad to hear, as tomorrow is going to be a big day, so I head to bed myself.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We wake up bright and early, ready for our adventures to Brilehaven, where we'll give them Joanna's head on a plate. Thankfully, Barden, bless his heart, gave us a map to work with, even if it's a tad old, as Stroll calls it for the day. However, going to his bed, he's noticed that Heismay has taken it over. As Hulkenberg tells Stroll that he better not have thoughts of taking her bed, she's killed men for less. Ah, good powers. Anyways, by the looks of it, the map, it will take us 3 days to get to Brilehaven, giving us 1 day before the big event, so we better get going.
Leaving behind the old castle town stricken by tragedy, the Gauntlet Runner sets off toward the exhibition of the brave. Their destination? Port Brilehaven, capital of the Principality of Oceania. A world unknown to them. What will they accomplish? Acclaim? Or...
Now that they're going, I think it's the perfect time to sit down and read a book. So I do, as me and Gallica spend the time on the Gauntlet Runner, lost in the pages of another world.
The party sets off for Martira. As they watch the setting sun sink under the horizon, their Gauntlet Runner arrives in a land grown thick with trees. The wildlife retreats to safety before the sunlight fades, leaving only deafening silence. The anticipation that follows a journey's beginning swells in their hearts.
During the evening, me and Stroll sit down and have a talk, mainly about our chances with Luis, as he's gotten himself some powerful allies, but so do we, after all. And we have to think about things like the fact that Zorba was a tough fight, and he took down a big human we faced all by himself. It's honestly quite crazy, but I'm confident that we can do it with a few more allies and some more time, that is, as we spend the rest of the night talking.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Another day in the runner gives us time to catch up on a good book. One that boosts one's eloquence, you can say, and in fact, it boosts even more eloquence because I actually finished the book. Which means I'll need another book to finish. Well, next time at least.
The city ruins come to view. This place once flourished through the excavation of magla crystals by migrant workers. The work was hard, but the miners were hardy and spirited, and the promise of riches lured many here. In its time, it may have rivaled Brilehaven. However, the promise of strong magla drew forth the humans. As tragedies climbed, it became a ghost town. Now only the threatening glimmer of the crystals remain, and with the promise of abandoned riches followed the thieves. For some reason, though, they all seem to scurry home empty-handed, gripped by fear.
We arrive to the ruins of a city covered in magla crystals. It's quite beautiful, but it has this ominous aura. We're left to be in shock by it. Stroll, however, is having a harder time as it echoes the pain of his hometown. But Heismay, being a solid bloke, reminds him that we slayed a human, so he shouldn't dwell on negativity, as one day both this place and Halia will flourish. Beautifully said, Heismay. And with that, a wisdom boost and Neris getting the hungries, we push onwards.
As the sun sinks below the horizon, the Gauntlet Runner arrives in a land dense with trees. The glow of the Gauntlet Runner pierces the dark, warmly enveloping them in its light.
During the night, me and Heismay sit down and have a good talk. He talks about him having a connection to Matira. It isn't too far from his hometown, and the air agrees with his skin compared to the capital. I agree, it's way more peaceful. He then asks about my hometown and my past, but then apologizes since my people have faced more prejudice than even his own tribe. but honestly, I wouldn't mind talking about it with him, as after a boost of my imagination, we talk for some time.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We're closing in on Browhaven, just one more day until we finally arrive, as I spend the morning sitting down with Hulkenberg playing a strategic board game as we talk about in-game battle strategies and much more. It was nice since Hulkenberg, being a fairly renowned knight, is quite good in these games, applying our own personal knowledge, and we battle it out into the afternoon, as once again we're attacked by a gauntlet runner, and it's our good pal Katharina. Guess she wants round 2 of the arse beating.
It's you! So we meet again! Maybe you got the better of me last time, but you're about to get some payback.
Give me a break, lady! Ever heard of learning from your mistakes? Sorry, but we don't intend to lose either.
Ooh, big talk. Well, I'm willing to rewrite my record if that's what it takes to be queen. My people are suffering as we speak. Who's gonna save the Parapus if I don't give it all I've got? I promised them all I'd become queen. You're all decent people, got nothing against you, but I'm not holding back.
Just leave this to me!
All I can say is she fared better this time, but that might be due to her dealing more damage and her healing herself occasionally. But her hits just didn't have enough weight to really even take one of us down, as Heismay lands the finishing blow.
I'll use what I must. I show no mercy!
No! Why? Why? I trained so much for this! This isn't supposed to happen!
With the fight over, she complains once more, hoping that she could have defeated me so I would join her side, adding that she'll win next time, as suddenly we hear a voice as we head down and see a Parapus man with a carriage, holding more Parapus. Katharina asks if they're all migrating to find work, knowing that it might kill them. In the end, the man replies that Parapuses have no real choice. You've got to break a few eggs to make an omelette. Suddenly, Katharina makes a generous donation, enough for them to be able to survive without selling themselves into slavery, or worse. Katharina asks for them to hold on a little while longer, as they hope for the best, and they're gone. But Katharina is a little sad, since that money was going to her royal campaign fund. But alas, there's a small prize for her people, even if in a few weeks they'll be back at it looking for work. She just can't fathom it, so when she's queen, she'll put bounty on all the oppressors' heads. They squeeze us dry, so we'll do it right back. I get where she's coming from, but I don't think money will fix everyone's problems. She kind of gets where I'm coming from as well. However, how it currently is, people aren't going to survive. People are starving, and she can't just tell them to wait for tomorrow to eat. She's just lucky she had the strength to keep pushing. Most people don't, and she knows I can relate to her feelings, but they can't just let Parapus start doing well. It would shake the shoddy ground they stand on, something I can very much agree on, as despite us being enemies, I know that the nation should be fine with her as queen. Well, unless you're rich, as our bond gets stronger. With our talk over, and the fact that I know that she'll probably be back in a week to fight us, we go our separate ways.
As the shadows are stretched to their limits before darkness takes them, the Gauntlet Runner arrives in a balmy wetland. Nocturnal creatures who lay dormant beneath the fens in the light rise to seek out their prey. Meanwhile, the party rests their weary souls, fatigued by the long journey, under the protection of the Gauntlet Runner.
During the night, me and Stroll have a nice little talk. He asks me how I'm holding up living in the Runner. I'm honest and say that I can't get much sleep. He seems to agree, admitting that it's wearing him down. The shaking is getting to him even when we stop. He feels the jolting and jostling. That is so true. I agree with that, but regardless of that, we spend the rest of the night talking. Hopefully, the rest of the way of Browhaven is peaceful and has no Katharinas attacking us.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
we get up nice and early as Stroll reminisces about his childhood. New information gets revealed to us that Stroll's parents took him to Browhaven when he was just a wee lad. As we get into talking, Stroll asks where Hulkenberg is from. Heisme is baffled since the Hulkenbergs are one of Monterio's most prominent aristocratic houses. That shocks Gallica. I already knew that part, but she brushes it off, saying that she hardly has a relationship with her parents since she left home, which, fair enough, I guess. With that all said and done, we're left to hope that Joanna shows up, as we go full steam ahead to Brylhaven.
Port Brylhaven, capital of the Principality of Oceania, the western annexed state of Uchronia. A vivacious city, Brylhaven is port of call to ships of both trade and war, bustling with hardy sailors. From the natural wonders caused by Magla to the Colosseum's contests of strength, people flock here to see the marvels of a city that never sleeps. The sea guides the gauntlet runner into the city alongside a warm, salty breeze.
It's the ocean! Just look! There's water all the way to the horizon! It's kind of like the capital, but totally different!
Yes. The City of Water, Brylhaven.
We enter the area with all these other runners, as Neris gets all fangirly about it, but Stroll pushes one button with the Skyrunner as he tells us all sorts of stuff that the church funded Skyrunner research, scoffing at the notion of them flying. It's just levitation magic, only passing as aerodynamics, telling us that one day he'll make a reality where we fly like birds. Despite him sounding like a madman, I would love to see that, which he likes to hear, saying I'll be running the sky with him. Suddenly, the walking headache appears as Glodell starts boasting, asking where our head is, calling our efforts to chase down Heisme just big talk. Heisme responds to that, which he replies that it's just some big joke, telling us that there's still time to drop out before we humiliate ourselves. Hulkenberg states that he is not the head we're handing. That notion confuses him, calling us mad, and seeming to wanting to see us get publicly mocked, as he goes away with his dog in tow. Heisme is confused on who he was. He is informed of Glodell, one of Luis's henchmen, emphasis on henchmen. But we're finally here, just gotta leave to find an actual parking spot, which wasn't too hard. We're now left to hope that Joanna actually shows up. Neris reassures us that he's going to retune the runner, so he'll guard the ship for tonight. Sounds good to me as we go to look for adequate housing. Browhaven is a beautiful place, all things considered, but it seems the former king is following the race as his head looms over the town. Quite ominous, all things considered, but I guess he needs to keep an eye on all things. Alas, all the lodges in town were all taken by all sorts of colourful individuals that I will be facing on my quest to become king, but due to likely their massive wallets, they've sold out all the taverns, leaving me with little option but a tavern who will take quite literally anyone. I must lower myself to literal criminals, but I am a deserter, so I guess I fit the mold. Beats sleeping in the cramped runner.
Did you see that giant bug just now? It was like the size of my head. It's gotta be poisonous.
Oh, pull yourself together. It's just a insect.
Well, listen to you. You can't have lived in a giant sandworm den and been afraid of bugs, sure.
Hence the hut.
That's why you lived in that hut.
I won't lie, something about a man who has done countless dirty deeds shivering to an insect is quite funny to me. Regardless, we have more pressing matters to attend to. Stroll agrees, saying that we're going to meet with Joanna, then head to the expedition soon after. She'll admit to her crimes, the guilt of a sanctoress, especially of her status, will guilt Forden by association, which will make an impression on Luis. But that all hinges on her actually coming, but I trust her. Heisme does as well, since she chose to offer a head instead of that humans. She'd not have done it if she didn't believe it was truly her child, even if somewhat. She expressed genuine parental love. Gallagher keeps being a worrywart, but Heismate offers himself if she does not come. He's still labeled a kidnapper after all, but Hulkenberg reassures him that we won't sacrifice his life for victory, but the offer speaks to his spirit. And with our hopes put in Lady Joanna and the feeling of hunger, especially in Heismate, as it may be his last meal, we get going. However, on our way to the tavern, some candidates were having a political debate, so I decided to hear them out.
What are we without beauty? What do we care for promises and speeches from repulsive mouths? Beauty is everything, and it is time our country
Sounds like the candidates have started their speeches. Let's listen in for a bit.
With all skills and talents equal, would you see the crown atop an ugly head or a handsome one? Beauty is power. Lack one, you should lack the other. When I take the throne, all the hideous will be stripped of their titles. Together, we shall build a nation ruled only by radiant, everlasting paragons of beauty.
Well, he has a point about what people tend to follow.
What? This really doesn't bother you? It isn't right.
You'd rather wait for a king who was always right, then?
Enough about appearance. A beautiful face cannot win wars. Without military power, the crown's voice means nothing! When I am king, I will establish a unified nation with the Rousseau tribe at its head! Our tribes, our status, they mean something. You could stray from a monolith, but it will still remain. There can be no true peace without using the power we command! Hear, hear! For Rousseau pride!
What pride is there in seizing power by force? Disgraceful.
When I'm queen, all the land's corrupt upper classes will be wanted men! We'll have our guillotines sharpened and our wallets open! Those who thought to tilt the world with their heavy coffers will be a head lighter! We'll split their fortunes and toast to our help!
Preach it, Katharina! You're just what this land needs!
Wouldn't the first target be the one on the throne, then?
Everyone's just shouting all their ideals out.
These candidates are all pathetic. Nobody here even compares to Lord Luis.
Luis isn't even in the running, lad. Poor Blight is afraid of losing to Sanctifex Ford.
You've got it backwards, geezer. He's just not wasting his time on these windbags.
I confess, I know not how to feel. 'Tis unprecedented. Never before have our citizens come together in the street in broad daylight and shared their true feelings on king and kingdom.
Indeed. Is this really the kind of change His Majesty wanted?
Let's go in. If we hang around too long here, we're bound to get dragged into a nasty argument.
When I'm king, pleasures will rule the city. A bar on every block and a flagon in every hand. All you can...
Woo! Next round's on Loveless!
Let fools be content with their fool dreams. Grant me the crown, and I will make our kingdom powerful beyond imagining.
Most powerful? Doesn't really mean anything, does it? Aren't you another one of Luis's flunkies, hound?
Always about that goddamn Luis. I've been in the guard just as long as he has.
Everywhere you go, there's a candidate fighting, but at least it makes the race interesting. As we hear whispers from behind us, never seeing an elder before, but knowing I have no luck in the race, but they're a bunch of town drunks, so I couldn't care for their opinions. As I partake in the inn's fun catch, quite literally, as I get to fish up tonight's dinner. However, by the looks of it, and the dinner on my table, I feel a shiver, the sandworm taken fish form perhaps. Of course, we have reservations, but Hulkenberg is Hulkenberg, absolutely adoring the food, eating it down happily, as we're left to worry if it's edible, but if we die together, as Stroll takes a bite, hating it. Heismay thinks that if you have an unknown fish, you sear it, but Hulkenberg pays it no mind. I guess on her journey for the prince, her food palate died. Regardless, we're eating as Batlin appears, wanting a scoop from us, saying we made a hell of a splash in Matera, huh? Felling a vicious beast is one thing, but not many candidates took it figuratively. Well, I mean, someone had to stop the kidnapper. He continues talking, asking if we have a head. We can see one, sure, and it's quite talkative too. He takes the hint and says he's looking forward to the expedition, especially considering our party's diversity, apologizing in his own way, saying he likes to chase interesting leads over a sure bet. He just can't help it, but he's gonna keep an eye on us leaving. I guess in a way, we've got our own hype guy, even if he's affiliated with the church. But regardless of all that, it's finally nighttime, and it's been a very long day. Ended with a gross slimy fish, but alas, tomorrow's going to be a big one. So I should get some sleep soon, rather than later.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today's the big day, and we find that Neris is drunk. We're baffled, Hulkenberg going as far to call him a buffoon, asking if this is why he wanted to stay back. This doesn't seem good, as both Neris is drunk and Joanna and Barden are nowhere to be seen. Well, at least it seems that way, but I know that I have faith in them, and it's well placed, as I say they'll come. As Hulkenberg leaves to get some water, that's when she bumps into, well, Barden, who apologizes for the awkwardness of the situation. As Hulkenberg asks how they got here, Joanna tailing behind him and asks if something is wrong. Gallagher is shocked that they were here the entire time, as Joanna apologizes since she heard the Gauntlet Runner had a washroom, so she decided to freshen up a bit, seeming to have enjoyed it, as this day may be her last. Barden thanks Neris since he let them in to wash up. Neris tears up saying, "He couldn't stand it. Her heart would bring any right-thinking man to tears. She could have ran like a thief in the night, but here she is, washing away her sins. It was too much for him to bear, so he needed a drink to get him through." By his wording, all it took was a drop to get him done. Never changed, Neris. Joanna tells us to pay him no mind, and his words eases her heart for the upcoming trials, knowing that she couldn't betray us and regress to her old vile ways. She must atone for her sins. Stroll thanks her for all this, starting to have second thoughts on the whole thing, since she decided to actually repent, as we're not icons of virtue, telling her she may explain herself freely, we cannot ask more than that, as she thanks us as she feels so much more at peace since we last spoke. The fog has cleared further, giving her clarity on what she must do, wishing us best on our quest for the throne. With everything set on our end and our hope for the best, we head to the exhibition.
Thank you all for waiting. The very first round of the Tournament for the Throne, the Exhibition of the Brave, is about to begin. Our monarchs-to-be will now present to the people the heads they seized to demonstrate their power as worthy of the throne. At a later date, when the second round is announced, the faces on the King's Rock, that is to say, the candidates with the top 20 approval ratings, will pass the first round.
20? 'Tis a great many eliminations in but one round.
I was hoping we'd at least make it through the first, but it might not be that simple.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your eyes to the lineup of all the gorgeous faces at the judges' table, starting with His and Her Highnesses of Oceania and Montario.
Oh, it's her ladyship.
Lord Montario's here too, eh? And the armor on that fellow over there.
And of course, we have the one, the only, the people's favorite, our guest from the Sanctity.
better known as the Miracle Saint, healer of all ills, presenting the lovely Lady Rella Cygnus!
Saint? Who's this? Someone fill me in. I've been literally living in a hole.
A brilliant healer. We've met, though a long time ago. Even as a student, she was already considered the kingdom's best in her field.
Looks like the crowd's on your side, milady. Can you give us a few words about what's on your mind as you take on the judge's mantle?
Well, I'm afraid you've rather got me on the spot. Hello, all. This city sure has, great seafood and, well, sea creatures. Fascinating, aren't they? There's so much we still don't know about them. Oh, I did hear about a legend of some monster in the eastern seas of Oceania. Imagine, the mind races. I'm hoping I can investigate those sightings while I'm here.
That's just great, Lady Rella. I'll just stop you there, clock's ticking and all that. But we're thrilled you're enjoying your stay.
Sometimes I can hardly believe you're my sister. Still not much of a public speaker, are you?
So she's a saint?
Well, she seems like a nice enough lady.
We'd better stop worrying about her and focus on ourselves. I don't see Luis anywhere, but I bet he's got eyes in the crowd.
Now, the time has come. Let the exhibition of the brave begin! First up is a respected gentleman of the church. Guido, the head of the monk soldiers of the Crown Theocracy.
I've no taste for needless killing. Therefore, I chose a mark with meat, abundant and edible. After the judging, it will be served in a banquet for the poor.
A stand-up fellow, my good people! Strength and compassion in one package! He's got the crowd on his side right from the start! Now, is there anyone who can top this? I can. And we have a challenger! Second in line is the church's direct opposition, the spearhead of Count Luis's supporters, Glodell the Black Ham!
One look at the head and I know what you're thinking. Bit small, isn't it? Well, I can bloody well tell you I'm not like this smarmy git who fished up his dinner. I'll tell you what this is. Behold, the head of a hideous human!
Where's your proof?
Yes, the young sod's right. How do we know that's really a human?
What drivel? Look at the thing! You think a normal beast could have a face like this?
Probably just made the damn thing yourself.
Oh, useless as ever. Did it never occur to him that the average citizen has never seen a human?
Now, everyone, let's have a little composure, please. Candidate Glodell, we're very much obliged. You may step down. Now, on to the next!
The size of that thing. Is that the monster of the Eastern Sea?
Someone took the beastie down. Who did the deed?
I'd heard tell of a monster tormenting the people of this beautiful port city. I could do no less than grant them respite from their suffering. Such is the duty of those with power.
Who expected anything less? His Eminence Borden is simply in another class. Suddenly the critics have all gone quiet. All I hear is gratitude.
Warden's trophy is more impressive than I expected. How are we going to make a stronger impression than that?
He'll be fine. If he'd gone after us, the reaction would mean we'd have been written off no matter what we presented. Let's count ourselves lucky and trust in our strategy.
Now, no dirty looks, you lot. Next is the Pagan Assassin's Prize. Let's see what head we've got now. Thank you, Candidate Julian, for that helpful, exhaustive, and I think exhausting explanation. Whew. Now, we've had quite a succession up here, but our last is coming up now. This should wrap up our show. Now, if the last candidate, the Elden Boy, would please join us on the stage.
Where's their head?
Your pardon, madam, but would you happen to be the Lady of Martyra? Joanna, the Sanctoress?
Indeed. The head they've brought is mine.
The impudence! You dare offer an honored lady of the church before these judges? This is not to be borne.
I've got something to say to you too. That you chief there. Isn't that Heismay? The same damn criminal you were supposed to be chasing?
That's the infamous Heismay. The huge chief of all things.
This, after we saved your hide on the road.
Silence! He may be a former knight, but now he's a heinous criminal who stooped to kidnapping. Anyone who claims themselves his ally should be disqualified on the spot.
Please, wait. I have something I must confess to you all. You speak of the kidnappings that terrorized my home, Martyra. I am here to confess that the true culprit behind those atrocities was me. I was the caretaker of a hideous human in the basement of my castle. And to feed it, I abducted the innocent people of my own city.
What? Absurd! Speak sense, woman!
Master Heismay is innocent in all this. He was framed for crimes performed by my hand and in my name.
And I, Barden, Captain of Martyra's Guard Corps, stand to vouch for all that she said.
Just so. It was this young candidate who killed that human, cleared me of the false charges, and dispelled the shadow over Martyra.
Thus, here I stand. My head is his to offer.
That's quite a turn of events! We have our head, ladies and gentlemen, and it's unlike any we've seen yet!
How is this believable? She's an imposter. She's got to be.
Of course. That, or they're putting words in the poor woman's mouth. A Sanctoress would never.
What will His Eminence Folden do?
The Honorable Master Godot should know whether I and my words can be trusted.
'Tis true to the last word, isn't it?
Yes, Your Eminence. Without question.
Young candidate, you have done well to bring about her repentance. Now, justice must be rendered.
What? Right here and now? Your Eminence, a moment!
Thank you for your concern. But I have no objections. For a sinner like me, to confess the truth to the people has already been more than I deserve. O new king, it is my hope that you will rid the world of its twisted prejudices and common cruelties. Please, lead this country armed with the truth.
I will. I promise.
folks. Sometimes that's just how the curtain falls. If Sanctifex Forden turned in the biggest head, then our dark horse here has certainly turned in the heaviest. What an upset, ladies and gents! Who could see this coming?
Those crazy kids have done it again. What a show!
With the incredibly heavy situation cleared up, and us somewhat mourning Joanna's death, Hulkenberg tells us that Barden has departed, believing that he aims to get to Matera before Joanna's words do. Heisme is shocked he would make this appearance like that, but Stroll thinks it was an attempt at redirection to keep the blame off him and the church, as he thinks he's not blameless in this, as his suggestion to go for Heisme led to all of this. But regardless, Joanna entrusted her final wishes to us, and we must not betray them. As it appears we did a good job and got Luis's attention, saying that they were passing on a course of a human hunt, but we gave a most distinctive showing. Luis's soldiers introduce themselves, seeing we've got their attention, as Luis finds our diversity fascinating. Schroll replies that it's better to have dependable friends than familiar ones, a thing we've got in common. His Parapus retainers are silent, as Luis continues that not only did we expose a failing in the church, but we dared to bring them alive, so Forden had to do the dirty deed, which wasn't our intent, but Fidelo replies that it's the same idea. A real person's head gets more attention than a beast, and now everyone's got your names on their lips. Which is a truth I have to accept. Luis is happy I do, calling it all quite a feat for a no-named candidate to deftly rub Forden's face in the dirt. A wake-up call to be sure for people who only know the face he puts on in public. Suddenly, Juna comes up to Luis wanting to go, as she likes to show her strength as much as the next girl, but she hates violent spectacles, wanting to see the sky. He seems to agree, leaving, as Heisme is shocked at what's become of the man, saying that there was a level of eeriness when he was a lad, but never expected him to reach such heights. But by the looks of it, we have gotten his attention, especially as Juna comes to us as a messenger woman, telling us to stay in the city and he'll send a real messenger for us soon enough. But then she gets close and tells me that she'll be keeping an eye on me, leaving. The walking headache appears, wondering where Luis was, and he's gone, and we go, something I bet made him mold. We're now back at the runner. Neris asks if we're now buddy-buddy with Luis, but I can feel it may be a trap, but Schroll tells us to not get cold feet. We knew it would be dangerous from the start. Speaking of the prince, Heisme asks for his status as Galakog checked a while ago. He's still resting, but nothing new has developed. The location of the formula is unknown, but it will most definitely be hiding in secret. But it will likely be close. I liked Schroll's idea of that, saying that it's likely on the Skyrunner. It'll be hard to get in there, however, but he did say a messenger was coming, so maybe we'll find a chance, as we're left to hope we get the messenger sooner rather than later.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Seems Luis is a man who likes things done efficiently, as a letter came early in the morning, going to a place called Night Prowler, so I guess I better get going. Before that though, I was able to get a new archetype, meaning that we are now at 15, so I went to Academia to give Maud the good news. With the mission complete and my imagination at level 3, Maud remembers something, having a face that's distraught, seeming to remember an unpleasant memory, telling us a long time ago he had a trusted ally, and their eventual betrayal. Alas, he cannot recall their face, only having a deep trust in him, and so the wounds of his heart are equally so. I tell him to not worry about it, as he's back to his usual self, finding that he thinks in circles quite often. For example, he believed he was conducting this research on his own volition, but is that the truth? He's starting to feel that his research may be the will of another laboring under their guidance. He seems to be afraid of his own past, so I reassure I won't betray him. He is reassured, feeling the same way as our bond grows stronger. And we part, not before another quest, needing to get Commander to level 15. I don't have that archetype yet, so we've got a long way to go, as I go to the Night Prowler. The two parapets are waiting for us as Stroll sees it's them. Fidelio asks if he was expecting the red carpet. This is merely a pre-show. Calling me a kid, Gallica retorts, but Basilio tells her to not have a laugh at his older brother. That's when he gets to step in. That shocks Hulkenberg as Fidelio laughs it off, thinking that the Magnus brother's name was making rounds, but he guesses not. He brushes it aside as a first offense, having a question for us before we can see the big man. We better think long and hard as the entire pub starts eyeing us down, their stares like daggers, asking for my kingly pitch. I respond that I don't even want to be king. He replies, of course not, that'd kill us on the spot. If I was saying we're not doing ourselves any favors, as Stroll says that we're all about impressing Luis and we've done it, you're about results, aren't you? Basilio butts in with his own question, asking why we want to serve Luis, and it's quite simple. I hate Forden and the church. We seem to have common ground, but he adds that we had a sanctuarist publicly executed, so we're not in a position to moralize. Stroll replies that we don't expect people to take our side, we just wanted to right wrongs. Fidelio just seems uninterested, saying we've got some brass, adding that we're more accomplished than the walking headache, and we will be useful, as Basilio tells us that we're in. Fidelio tells us about how lesser tribes place and our hope rides on Luis. They'll do what it takes, and signed today, so will we. And with that, we're formally invited to his Skyrunner. Of course, no funny business. What they don't know is our little fairy friend will do the spy mission, hopefully. They didn't notice her, so we get going there. Looking at the Skyrunner close up, the thing is utterly gigantic. Basilio tells us bumpkins that we can fawn over the Chadarius all we want. It won't be flying for a while with the soiree coming up. Fidelio tells us to follow him, and they'll give us a grand tour. Just friendly advice. Be on our best behavior, try and think smart or make a rude comment about Luis, dead on the spot. Well, I didn't plan to, because I kind of expected that, as we go inside. They seem to have elevators here, but they don't work for us, as we don't have the key for them to activate it. They keep suspicious people out. Looks like some nifty magic, all things considered, as we talk amongst ourselves for a moment and quickly stop as the older brother gets suspicious, and we continue onwards to Luis's office. As we just take in how truly big it all is, as Fidelio tells us to not look, seeming to get suspicious of us. As a large man appears, likely a guard, getting cocky and confident of his powers, calling us pissants compared to his power, wanting to settle who's stronger already, as he gets ordered to go back to his posts, and he leaves, not before getting the last word. Well, he was kind of a jerk, but I wouldn't expect less. As we get to the reception of the runner, since it'd be daft for a bunch of strangers to go into his personal quarters, and with us going to meet Luis, Gallica goes their separate way. I just hope that she can do it. We enter the quarters and Luis comments on how beautiful Briohaven is, talking about their naval might well have won the Annex War if it wasn't for Ukrainia to forgo their honor and launch an opportunistic attack in the wake of a storm. Even now, united in the kingdom, their pride and their power is what keeps the city alive. He understands we want to join his ranks, and he would like to hear what we wish to know most. Ask, and he will answer. That's why he summoned us. I ask how he plans to defeat Forden, and he's honest, just saying killing him. Not that his victory rests on it, it's just here in the church are malignant tumors on this country's flesh, and he wishes to exercise it to save this land. Stroll responds, asking if he's not protected by the king's magic. Luis just says that the king is not a god, so there's always a way. He senses that we have no small conviction that drives us, and he believes keeping us will prove useful, permitting us to join as we're put to our first test, telling me to cut my finger on the heart of magic silver, let the blood flow, but I am warned. If my heart isn't dedicated to Luis, it won't just be a drop. I might lose much more. Luis notices my hesitation in my words, telling me that fear and anxiety, they always lead people astray. Power and order trumps all. That's the crux of his rule. I go for it, and it seems that we pass, but at the same time, by their reaction, it was all just a silly test, as Luis tells us that on 13th of August, we will be holding a soiree, which will be the fine opportunity for us to make our grand debut. That sounds like a plan and will give us some time to get ready for the spell, but I wonder how Gallica is going, but I'll just have to wait.
Only this area feels any different from the rest. I need a key to get in, though. It'd be nice if I could see what's going on in here, too.
Is that boy candidate here already?
Meeting with Count Luis as we speak, I think. Didn't think he'd end up on our side.
I expect we'll run into each other on the job, eh? That said, let's get back to our rounds.
Yikes! They're coming this way! I have to hide! Is this the other side of that door? Never thought it'd lead to a place like this. This area just screams suspicious with all the guards. The formula's gotta be somewhere around here. Is someone coming? Figures they'd show up now. Isn't that the songstress?
Lady Juna, is something amiss?
I do recall saying I didn't need a personal guard today.
Yes, but this is Luis's personal quarters. We thought in case you needed...
Well, I don't. You can do your guarding downstairs for today. Do you understand? And, well, I mean, do you really want to be guarding this door when Count Luis returns? Oh, the things you would hear.
You mean, idiot, don't make the lady repeat herself.
Close one. Opportunities like this are so few and far between. I've got to get this back in place. Oh, wonderful.
How were these arranged again? A magic spell? Is that the formula? Just my luck. I can't carry out something that big, and now I know where it is.
Time passes as Neris is happy with sworn fealty since now he can get into the guts of the Skyrunner. We'd likely be killed if he did, but Hulkenberg worries about Gallica, seeming to be unfound as she returns, telling us that she knows where it is, thinking she saw the real thing and bets it's somewhere in his personal quarters, adding that Juna was in the room too, wondering why she was there. However, getting there seems to be tricky, needing to go through some hoops, which is getting past 3 blocks and getting likely keys, and then having to wait for a time where there's less guards. So likely at the night of the soiree. Hulkenberg asks how we can get away with it as Stroll has an idea. We find a route and find out when it will be less populated. Then on the night of the soiree, Gallica and one other will slip out, get the formula and escape, thinking I should be the guy to do it, shocking the others, but his reasoning is sound, thinking that Luis would notice any absence, so we may as well just send the big guns. And I can agree with that. Me and Gallica work well as a team too, so in a way, it feels that it was fated to happen, as the night ends with a plan set.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We wake up talking about the plan a little, mainly that our encounters must be short and decisive. I must get all the information I can about them so I can effectively plan to take them down. I'm going to help out the people in Briarhaven first, so I can get my levels up to a point where I feel confident that I can do that. So I start today going around town getting requests. The first one is getting a thing called a Dragon Thistleberry to help someone who will die if I don't. The second one is way easier, just getting some flowers for a kid. Need to head back to the capital for that one. Next is simply buy a toothbrush of Hygiena at a small town, getting a deed from a man who enjoys fights, and finally the Chalice of Legends, which apparently I'll get some info if I go to the bounty board, which is what I'll do. But first I look inside the arena and find a guy. He seems close enough to the person I'm looking for, so I talk to him, getting his interest due to my status as a candidate, but I'm unable to keep him on the hook for any possibilities of a deed, sadly. But if I were to climb a legendary tower, I might be able to get his interest, giving me a new goal and a hint from the informant, so I head there, but sadly the informant has no information about a tower. But I did get told about each guard that protects the keys of the Skyrunner. Xanth is huge and strong, but weak to status ailments like burn and poison. Seba is a mage that repels attacks, so any form of negation to that will work in our favor, especially if we use magic, something my party isn't well known for, so I might dodge him. Gleckholm likes to inflict daze by the sounds of it, but it's easily provoked, so Hulkenberg will be very useful in that fight. The helmsman Sabo loves Juna, which isn't what I want, but with a tad probing, he seems to be weak to electric due to trauma. And finally, Salva, who spams almighty magic but is weak to piercing attacks. So that should be a tad challenging, but it'll be things I need for the days upcoming as I end this quest with grabbing the bounty, finding out where the chalice is, and then talking to Barden. We're talking in the end, asking for my consort about picking the next ruler, not a king or anything, but a town governor. It's what he believes the town needs. And most of the town are with him on this, especially with the events around Joanna, so the town's turning to extreme course of action. Fortunately, the new lord has allowed self-government. Guess it works in his favor too, since he won't have to govern. There's one small issue with it. He believes that clergyman is best suited, he's a solid enough man, and he is on board, but the town actually wants Barden to be governor. I like the sound of that. He has a strong will and will lead these people well. He's thankful to hear my kind words, but he thinks himself too weak, thinking he's on a pedestal as some noble knight who put everything to right, but he knows it's thanks to us. But alas, he can say that to the heavens, but they'll still want him as governor. They want to feel safe and know that there's someone there that they can rely on, but he is no ruler in his eyes. Wondering if he really should. That's why I decided to give him some inspirational words. Well, in my opinion, they're inspirational, saying that everything worth doing is always a challenge. He remembers hearing that the closer you get to your breaking point, the better you become, adding that you can't be better without a little challenge, can you? Giving him the push to go for governor. He still doesn't think he's the man for the job, but he'll give it his all. He's got for the town, hoping I'll still advise him on the way, which I agree as our bond deepens. The tavern owner is happy hearing that, saying that they care about him, but they're sick of waiting. The regular agrees, knowing that they'll rest easy under his lead, giving him hope and talking about countermeasures against the Sandworm threat. But they also tease him on being bad with kids, saying that they hate being chased by him during hide and seek, screaming and crying. He's confused, asking, isn't that how it's played? He brushed it off, thanking me, but now I'm scared. How does he play hide and seek? Well, regardless, I'd rather not know. Leaving for the capital, as I meet up with Brigida, who wasn't expecting me to show up at a time like this, asking if I heard the cries, as they bellow outside about a terrorist hideout has been burned down, all thanks to Lady Brigida. Oh no, those innocent Ujifs. I ask if it's true, and she confirms the entire village up in a sea of fire, but she didn't do that. Now the people she met then at that village, they're all dead now. They were no anti-Igniter group, and yet it was the Sanctus Church. No, the people who do their dirty work. They want the world to see Igniters as the only defense they have against violence, and they set a village ablaze to prove it. And by taking their dog, they made her a tool for their evil scheme, making it seem like an anti-Igniter group, knowing she would respond with extreme prejudice. Even though I stepped in, it's still done, and she was held responsible, seeing it as a warning, wanting total, unquestionable obedience from her. I ask what she'll do. She replies that killing the churchman will not change anything. Not when it's all rotten to the core. The world is a horrific place, defined by inequality and intolerance, and the people who shape that are the wealthy few that sit on top of it all, which is the church. Thinking about her past being a child of poverty, but even though all they did to survive together, broke bread together, they died slowly. The starvation or the torture took their lives. The church wheedles the strong and takes from the weak their wealth and their lives. She remembers the memory of their cold, dead bodies. That's when she decided she'll be doing the taking, but it's all getting too much for her, regardless of everything she's done, all the work, all the clawing she's done. She's just an underling of the church, saying that even though she's climbed out of hell, there's just another circle of it waiting. It never ends. She can't take it anymore, asking how far she must fight them, how much must she take from them to ensure that they no longer tear things from her grasp. Thinking, I'm next, giving up, but I'm honest, I can protect myself, and eventually I'll be beyond the church's grasp. So she doesn't need to worry about me. She's just baffled, asking how I can still believe there's light in this horrible world, asking why I can't just let her give up. She asked me a question on when I think of this world I want to create, what do I imagine? And I reply, a country of hope. She softly chuckles, saying it's too much for her, wishing her heart was strong and beautiful as mine, as I stay by her side.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today's looking like a journey on the Gauntlet Runner. We're going our way to the tomb to get the chalice, but on the way I have to choose between two directions, and decide to go the direction with the toothbrush. Today, I'll spend an extra day to get to the dragon, whatever it was called, but for now, we get going on our trip. Me and Hulkenberg talk as she tells me some backstory with Rodanth. It starts with her family. They found prominence through means beyond wealth they lacked. Scholarship mostly, with some even getting into politics. But she found herself an outlier in all of it. Her mind pursued on martial arts, which left her more or less an outcast, with her family unsure on what to do. The family offered her no meaning worth pursuing, so she ended up joining the Guard when she was still young. She believed in the military she would be able to blaze a trail for her own, but those ideals are meaningless in her house. Before she could have a chance to prove her skills, her family made arrangements for her to be knighted, so that her name will not be disgraced. But due to that, she was fortunate to meet Rodanth. He was born into a storied Rohag household, but his family dissolved and he joined the military soon after, adding that they're both alike in some ways, seeking to rise on their own merit regardless of familial background. But it changed when after the training was complete and Rodanth being openly considered for the prince's royal guard, she was, even at her young age, ultimately selected. She relents. Rodanth lacked for nothing as a knight. They were equals, but her family had the right words in the right ears compared to him. And due to that, he was denied appointment, left to be sent to the front lines to die alongside common foot soldiers. And I can agree with Hulkenberg. If I was him, I would also be frustrated with that. But he made a name for himself and returned, but thinks about how high it is now. I ask if she respects that. She shakes her head, and his current behavior isn't one of a knight commander. It hardly bears saying that knights cannot allow such abuse of power, calling herself partly responsible, thinking she needs to intervene. It was your family, not you, Hulkenberg. But she continues wondering if it's her place to judge him. She carved her own path, her own title came only at her family's behest. And she failed to protect the prince, left a wanderer after the curse. She speaks lofty words, but what weight do they have for a knight like her, one that is errant and eroded and failed in her solemn duty? I tell her that she's still a knight, but she replied that she's no knight worth the pride of the order, adding once upon a time she thought herself to be righteous. She respected the order and brought down many a criminal to justice. She saw the punishment was meted out, and yet looking back, she knows it was just a matter of convenience. A way to disguise the weakling she is, a knightly standing held up by a family she had forsaken, and in that time she failed the prince, ran from her post to find herself with no more honor than a thief in the night. She fled her family, her knighthood, and Rodanth can see that, asking who is she to claim any chivalry over him. I ask if she'll repeat history and run. She stops for a moment and says that she's afraid to face him and afraid of facing herself. I bring out the broken sword from our sparring a while ago. It's a symbol of our friendship, as a reminder that I'll help her through this. She stares at it, taking it all in for a moment, realizing that she lost sight of something very important, thanking me, seeming to be indebted to me as our bond grows stronger. With that, Hulkenberg seems to be wanted to be left alone, so she can think, so I give her some space.
The village of Inundo, a small settlement located north of Brylehaven, lies ahead. The industry that once thrived here fell into decline, and now the able-bodied youth dream instead of leaving home. A small population of mostly children and elders remain, and visitors are scarce. The Gauntlet Runner slows to a stop.
Giving it some thought?
We make it to a swampy town that is Inundo. It's a ghost town, people living there afraid of the monsters that lurk in the trees. But I was able to give them some business, grabbing the toothbrush of Hygienia and pushing onwards.
As the sky turns the same muddy color as the land below, the Gauntlet Runner arrives in a quiet land. However, confidence would be ill-advised. Listen carefully for footfalls in the mud, and move at the break of dawn.
And during the night, me and Gallica spend a quiet moment reading a fantasy novel. A fantasy novel that, with a little talking between me and Gallica, boosts my imagination as I turn in for the night. Of course, I never get to rest, as we're attacked by a bunch of trash mobs. They're quite weak, all things considered, taking a turn to finish. But one of those weird wisp beings appeared, and I tried with all my might, but alas, I wasn't strong enough, and it fled. That's fine, I wanted to sleep anyways.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts off with me and Gallica sitting by the window, reading a book that boosts imagination, waiting for when we arrive at that tomb with a chalice. But we actually finish the book, giving us an additional points, and that's when...
I say, we could stop for a break.
The Gauntlet Runner arrives at a spectacular waterfall northwest of Brilehaven, the Peregrine Falls. The water cascading down from the river between the canyons is among the kingdom's finest vistas. Thanks in part to the monuments carved into rocky cliffs, is the rumbling echo simply the water plummeting into the basin below? Or the roar of the Mage King?
We're face to face with a beautiful waterfall with what seems to be a person, perhaps carved or maybe petrified into it. It's barely visible in the harsh waves, but we have a good idea of their expressions. I think that they look like they were moments before death claimed them. Gallica wonders how they could have carved them. Hogenberg thinks their likeness is one of the old hero kings, left to wonder if this could possibly be some kind of warning. We're left to stare at it, thinking that the roaring of the water crashing down could be the cries of anguish from the Mage King. But we're left to think about it as I become level 3 in Wisdom and a new drawing to show to Maria. Hopefully Maria doesn't find it too scary as we leave.
Their destination is the Tomb of Lament, found north of Oceania. Interred beneath the earth here lie the victims of a terrible epidemic. It is said the lamentations of the lost echo throughout, disfiguring the somber burial ground into a mass grave for criminals and the kinless. The vindictive spirits conjure restless monsters. And it is here that the Gauntlet Runner comes to an uneasy halt.
It seems not only we're going to be getting the chalice, but one of Neris's relics is hiding in this tomb, so we best get going, which is when I realized that there was bad weather, meaning the monster does not give extra turns on criticals or weaknesses. Meaning this dungeon, which may have been easy enough, is proving to be a challenge when even the minotaurs around the dungeon are failing me easily. But before we face the boss, I grabbed the relic for Neris. It's a weird looking cube, but he might be able to understand it. As we face the boss, and as I expected, I am no match for it, and had to think about my game plan, which is when I realized that I am an idiot. I kept targeting the monster the bounty summoned due to me thinking that it would continuously heal, but I gave a shot at just killing the bounty as fast as I can, and it worked, and the fight was pretty much a cakewalk onwards, just keeping on top of the healing and intermittently face palming, but it went down.
Magic Seeker!
She needs help!
Wind!
With their defeat, we now push on to getting the items needed for the medicine, as I spend the night giving Neris the relic. With a little jostling, he got it working, saying sharp as a blade, his instincts, calling what I found quite the find. Gallica thinks Neris might be the only person who can understand the relic, as it gives him an idea, calling it Heaven Sent Cerebral Nugget of Pure Genius, thanking me as mission complete. but he's left to think of how fast it was to get them, thanking his healthy living and intellectual curiosity. Gallica says it was actually us and tells him to join us on a hunt sometime, but he's honest and I 100% agree, he'd probably break on the battlefield, being past his prime, saying, "He was quite the looking in the days, a strapping young lad with a genius mind and familiar prestige." I'm quite jealous, but he reassures me that I'm quite young, with all the time and the freedom in the world, but he admits that most people wanted his title more than him, confessing he once had a fiancée, but it all went down when he got deep into the runner research. And by the time he could check on her, she had moved on to a new guy, calling it a life lesson for me that you never realize what you have until it's gone. To keep that in mind. But to be honest, he's basically married to the runner, which he seems to laugh off, saying that he's grateful for me and for everything that's been happening, as his passion, once all but smothered, has been rekindled, as our bond grows stronger and leaves us with another relic to find, so that'll be my next mission, to look for clues and find that next spot, going to bed.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
It's now morning and we're ready to get going to acquire that material for the medicine, so let's get to it. As we're going to the forest, I spend some time with Hulkenberg. She tells me a bombshell that she's decided to challenge Rodanthe to a duel, wanting to correct him, but she knows that he won't be persuaded by words. She agrees that it's the only way in battle where he'll see the error of his ways. I ask if he will, and she believes that he will, as all knights prize their honor, and it would bring great shame to refuse a challenge, especially with his status. If she were to throw down the gauntlet in public, she thinks he won't deny her. When I show her the sword the other day, she realized it's a problem only swords can solve. And there's even something in it for her, as her doors were left in a drawer. I say I believe in her. She thanks me and says that she would duel Rodanthe for the people, but even more so she can take measure in herself. He is as single-minded as ever. When he rise to knighthood's peak, he did by whatever means necessary, all while she enshrouded familiar honor to pursue a knightly calling, and that was lost to her. She sought the prince, her shifting purpose has weakened the path beneath her feet. She's been long mortified at the trance she saw in the mirror, and long did the feeling fester in her heart. But she no longer stands ashamed, as her path, however serpentine, has led her to us, and to the woman she is now, knowing that she'll face him headlong and surpass him in ability and right his ways. I'm with her on this, quite literally, as she wants me to witness the duel, and I agree, but only if she wins. She agrees to that, and our bond is stronger. She tells me that she'll do it next time when I'm not busy, and then talks about some interesting food as we continue to talk.
The Gauntlet Runner arrives at the Gracia Forest, temperate and fertile. It was once a place of repose, where the songs of fairies echoed throughout. But as the furnace of commerce demanded its wood, the fairies began to vanish, and having lost its divine protection, monsters made their dens. Fear of what lurks among the trees drove mankind back, and the forest fell into sinister silence. The departed fairies would weep to see it now.
We made it to the forest, and there's not much to really say. Simple things, just going around collecting the berries, but we feel a presence watching us. A pair of eyes, we do not know where they are coming from until we collect what we needed, and a lanky bird-like creature swoops down and attacks us for stealing what is likely its food. With the hint that we got from the informant, we know its weakness is piercing, which will make the boss fight pretty easy, all things considered. It did have the advantage on Stroll, having wind, which he was weak to, but he played support for the most part. Him and Heisme, with Heisme being debuff and healing, while Stroll had a party attack boost. Due to Hulkenberg having Pugilist, the Pierce defense down ability works super well, it did a ton of damage, and actually is what finished it off.
Oh, power of heroes!
With its defeat, we celebrate by going back to the inn and having a feast. It's nice to be back, even if our beds will be as uncomfortable as it was in the runner.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts with me completing quests. The first one is giving medicine for the lady so that she can save the guy, boosting my popularity to 46. She tells me a little about herself, mainly about not being able to save her son and how she repents for that by saving others. I tell her it's not her fault, but regardless, she's doing a good thing, and with my help, she can help more. As I move onwards and see the guy who was inside the sandworm, I wonder why he's here, but it seems that we got him longing to see the outside world. He gave that sandworm a little poke with his magic and got our way safe, asking if I've possibly seen any glowing bugs. Gallica thinks we did, showing one to him. He's happy. It's called a gold beetle, giving me a prize for getting that gold beetle, and I'll get even more prizes if I give him more, so I'll have to keep that in mind. And finally, we give the man the toothpaste of Hygienia, which makes him happy as he can brush his teeth and gives us a prize of a golden beetle on top of the prize money. So that's pretty cool of him. As I head into the capital, talking to that merchant if the Lord's fish smells. As he finds that interesting, I knew that, confirming buying the fish and then showing up to the meetings with them, finding it amusing but also worried how the fish kept fresh. Remembering him being a magnanimous person, being kind to all he met, wanting to hear my story. I tell him the situation with Stroll, and he asks to forgive his suspicion, thinking I am truly his son's friend, adding that the word of the lost inheritance has begun to spread. Con men have tried every trick to claim it. He has indeed been entrusted with the inheritance, as it was always meant for his son, asking to relay the message, wanting to share the rest with Stroll face to face, which I agree with, and that's mission complete. But while I'm here, I decided to get the flowers at the church. The guy there is still kind of a prick, but he seems to be playing ball due to my status now, but I still got to pay quite the exorbitant fee. But also while I'm here, I can also purify the items I have, giving them more power and additional effects for a decently high price, but I can deal with it somewhat. And with all that done, I can finally give Stroll the good news, heading to the location. The merchant is happy to finally meet him, but remembers that they've already met, but that's when he was just a wee baby. Thinking it's funny how he resembles them both, talking about his father and him did some charity work, giving aid to the downtrodden. It wasn't all that lucrative, but he was taken by his charisma. Stroll didn't know about that, but the merchant continues that it was thanks to that his father ultimately gave him the fortune to guard. He's pleased to give it to him, asking what he is going to do with it. Stroll replies that he is going to use it to rebuild his mansion, but hearing it was used to help the people, he's having second thoughts, wanting to give the refuge of Halia a new home, which is very honorable of him, but he knows that it will take time and money to do that, and he won't be able to tend to all of their hardship for many seasons. The merchant applauds him for being like his father, but suggests that if he were to purchase a parcel of land from his pick of the gentry, many are desperate for coin and will easily part with it, especially estates that they cannot sustain. However, Stroll cannot imagine finding such an ideal expanse in such short order, but that's where the merchant comes in, asking if we've heard of Lord Hydron, adding that he's well versed in these matters. That guy is rearing his ugly head again. The merchant can see our worries, but he reassures his opponent ally, dare say he would be the savior we need to realize our ideals. It takes Stroll a moment, and he decides on what he's going to do, accepting the offer, and then muttering, hope is only a step behind a clear conscience. That confuses me as he apologizes, saying that it was just a thing his parents would say. I reply it's wise words. He's happy I agree, saying that if he can reproduce the new land, those people can return to some semblance of their old lives. A time of peace before the human attacked. And I have no small role here. If treachery were to claim the throne, then this country will fall to ruin, and you'll have no hope of saving the people of Halia, let alone his ideals. Hoping in me, he's a little tense, but I can feel our bond grow stronger. He thanks me for completing my mission and asks what I found out about his father. I say that he was a man of many virtues, something he agrees in, but wondering what his father would do in this situation. But I think he would have supported the people like you are, me. As we go our separate ways. Nighttime and we're back at Brilehaven. I give the man the chalice, he's happy to have it, but he won't drink out of it just yet, saying he'll make a toast when I am crowned. I'm glad he believes in me as I get the flowers for the kid. The kid's a little shy, not sure if he's going to give it to the person he likes, but I believe in him as mission complete, and my rank with the populace is now 40. And finally, I found Alonso sitting at a bench, and with my wisdom, I'm able to strike up a conversation with him. We go to a secluded place to talk. I give him what I promise, and he finds it all interesting. An external force that protects the candidates, calling it all difficult to get a hold of accurate information about it all, making our meeting a boon, giving me a tip to target the other candidates' families as a way to get them to back down, but he understands it's not my nature to do that, but it's fine, as not every weapon has a pointed end. Villains will always strike where it hurts, most like snakes, and those he associates with are the most venomous kind, as a person comes, which he was referring to. And after they have a quick chat, he comes back telling me that he's just an underling of a landowner he's working with. He's cautious as you may expect, and they still don't trust him. He can't believe them, however, as the landowner is his target, being a foul one, taking advantage of the struggle for the throne to make the big bucks. Ambitious people all over the world are using the tournament for a rise up in the world, and that landowner is a lender, turning tidy profits, and he's just a middleman. That's all interesting talk, but I ask for his end goal. He replies that he'll spare me the details, but he wants the man's money, and when it's done, it'll be his loss and Alonso's gain. Enough to buy a small village even. I find the wording interesting, but I'll find out later as one of his people appears and gets cautious of me, but he's reassured that I'm clear. As he continues talking about a village, it seems it to be a sore point, as there are some small worries, but he's sure it will turn up nothing, and it will be the end of that, adding that his friend should probably pack up and go south, adding that he'll bring the money to the stash soon. He seems to be a little worried about that lackey, as he says that if push comes to shove, he's gonna need my help. My muscle specifically, is going to buy his hometown from the landowner, as he's bleeding it dry to begin with, and asks for when I'm free next to come there with him, as he's got a strange nagging feeling about this. I joke that it will cost him, and he's happy telling me to name any price, and with that, our bond is stronger. He adds it's a small village, and he would take me now, but he knows I have my own schedule, and may be busy, but even so, he tells me not to delay. I agree to that, and I'll do it when I can, as I go home.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today's entry will start by saying I am quite an idiot. I didn't know about the bazaar, but thanks to my new knowledge of its existence, I was able to find out about the Forsaken Tower, the augurs that surround it, and more importantly, it's likely the tower I need to conquer for the deed. So I head back to the merchant, and with my new knowledge, I get the location for it. It'll be 2 days from here, but it could have been done on my long trip. If only I knew it existed, so I'm internally kicking myself. But more importantly, I'm going to work around the weather to get there with no rainstorms. I don't want another situation like it was with the tomb a few days ago. But with that all done, I join Highesmate to find a fitting spot for his son to rest. We go to Matira's graveyard. He thinks about the graves likely victims of what Joanna did, thinking he might find solace here, but he remembers that we do not cremate our bodies, thinking his son will fill out a place. I ask if he wants to go somewhere else. He thanks me as we head to a new location. He suggested a forest. He is unsure, seeming peaceful at a first glance, but he can sense it, pattering footsteps from the beast among the trees, the smell of animal waste. He can feel them, eyeing us in the shadows. It's too dangerous, something he agrees, as he cannot stand the idea of them disturbing his rest. Thinking it's too early to decide, wanting to look for a new place. If I don't mind, which I don't, he thanks, commenting that I'm more persistent than he was at his age, telling me that Ujifs travel far and wide for their resting place. Some build altars at their home, some scatter their bones in the sea, and some bury them beneath a great tree. But that being said, most simply bury them at their village's cemetery after all that contemplation. They go back to their roots. When he was young, that irritated him to no end, loathing their indecision and looking down upon them. But now in his later years, he come to understand it's not so easy to overcome the death of someone close. And that's why when you lose someone close, you need the time for that very hesitation. He's certainly found he does. Haste will not ease his worries, but he believes I've done enough for him. But I am here to see it to the end, calling me an oddball for that, and if I have his full support, he asks if he may use the Gauntlet Runner. He wants to see the place full of open space, and I see why not. We arrive at the place. It seems that Heisme has taken notice of it. I ask him what's up. He replies that it looks like a place his son once loved. Remembering something, it was around the time his son started to walk. Even when he stumbled and fell, he'd jump right back up in place and smile. chasing the bugs through the grass far taller than him, laughing even when he fell, bringing him flowers and pebbles clutched tightly with his tiny fist. Even now, he feels he may burst out of the grass at any moment, but he knows it's an empty fantasy. I understand how hard it is for him, but he apologizes. He didn't mean for me to see him like this, but it'll be a fine place for him to stay, commenting on the peacefulness of it, the gentle breeze. It's a place apart from the nightmares of the world. Knowing his son, he would love it, but yet I can see his faint hesitation. I ask him if he wants to go somewhere else. He tells me that's not that, it's just one thing, the smell of the winds. It reminds him of a hill, the hill of where his birthplace lies. I ask if he's only just realized. He confirms it occurred to him, but he hasn't visited ever since he left, knowing they'd not likely welcome him back. He talks about fond memories, and I'm getting impatient. We should just go already. He thinks if his son would like it. He never got to see the place with his own eyes before he died. But he knows his son should get every option possible, adding that walking the ground with me, he finds himself determined to return to that place once more. It feels like he would have never realized that alone, grateful for our path crossing. I'm glad I can make an impact on his life, especially when his son is involved, as a bond goes stronger. He thanks me once more for putting up with his indecisiveness, and calls it for a day, telling me that he'll call upon me when the time comes. And that's it for today. During the night, I see a Musari lady in the rain. She tells me about her culture, traditions, bringing up the ways they honor their dead, boosting my understanding and thanking me as I wasn't cruel to her unlike the others. That's sad to hear, honestly, but I wish her the best and head home.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts off with me checking the weather, after paying a little fee, of course, and sadly, I'm out of luck today, as if I go now, I'll be going into shoddy weather. So I give it up for the time being, going to join Stroll into dealing with Lord Hydron. He's on board commenting this could have been far less roundabout if he knew about his assets. Stroll asked what the paper is, and he replied that it's a contract. Stroll seems to be in a hurry, so he had it prepared prior, and with his signature, he'll be a landowner. It's a countryside land, but the price is quite the rare bargain. The owner gave it up after racking up quite a debt. Stroll hears that and asks if he's right to presume that people are living there. Hydron confirms it's quite a few, telling Stroll that he can do what he pleases with them. Your property, your people, calling it a bargain. He thinks it's a little small compared to Halia, but Hydron thinks that it's minor details. It's readily available, which makes it valuable. Commenting on the estate manor he can move into, but Stroll finds it kind of a problem, something I do, as he comments that if there's people living there, he'd be introducing conflict by moving Harlians to occupy their land. Knowing that it doesn't fit his vision, Hydron is annoyed, asking, why must he concern himself with squatters? They're not used to him, just push him out of sight and out of mind. Thinking that a lord doesn't deserve their title without a land to govern, asking he would reject it knowing that? He's having a little bit of a hard time with those words, but I remind him of his parents, saying as he's decided, apologizing to Hydron and tearing the paper in half. Hydron is shocked, telling him that doing this will have ramifications. But Stroll tells him that all the land in the world does not make a lord until he shoulders the responsibility of protecting its people, telling nobles who don't see that can go to hell, saying that there is a counteroffer. He will buy 100 of the vacant homes in the capital. Hydron protests that he cannot afford it, but Stroll replies that he's done his research and they sure can. Clever move, man, as Stroll tells him that he may be a countryside noble, but he better not be overcharging him. That would have its own ramifications. Knowing my status as a high-ranking candidate, knowing it will suffer if he stuffs us. Hydron asks if he's threatening, but he just replies he isn't. He simply made a competitive offer for the house he can't sell, adding that he stands to profit in all of this. Hydron seems defeated, saying the idiocracy expects from a son of a backwater lord who couldn't flee, asking if he'd truly sacrifice his house's name to shelter mere peasants, telling him he may as well throw that money into the toilet, insulting the entire aristocracy, and he'll live to regret it. But Stroll sees it the other way, as the country is changing, and corrupt nobles like him are facing extinction, knowing his parents risked their lives to protect their people, like a noble should, and asks if we shall put ink to parchment, And with that, the people of Hylia are left to be astonished after being told of what he did, knowing his generosity has no bounds. As he tells them to be at ease, he's merely being stubborn, maybe even selfish. The more he wondered, the less clear it was, but then he asked what he truly desired, and he knew the answer, without a doubt. That confused Ragnif, as he says that he just wanted to see the smiles on their faces, a smile from a simpler time, saying, "A nobleman is the shield in his people's hand, durable enough to protect them, but light enough to carry. Else, what value does he have?" Another gem from his parents, apologizing knowing they wanted Hylia to rise once more. But Ragnif says that he's shown them a way to live, with more pride than what fortune or glory could provide, thinking that it was a great honor to have such a dignified family. Troll apologizes for how long they had to wait, but they were fine, thanking him for all he has done. They'll tell the others. With their lives given a chance once more, Stroll says once his journey is complete, he'll be back, likely to raise the flag once more, as he thanks me for everything, calling me a genuine friend. That statement confused me, but he says that he didn't choose to help these people out of some noble obligation. It goes beyond that. If he could save someone, then he will be straightforward as he can be. He'd wager his parents are the same. He thinks living his life with that in mind is what they would want for him, and I believe that too, as our bond grows stronger. With the talks over, he wanted to visit his parents' grave, to apologize for failing to rebuild their house, telling Ragnif he's glad he found refuge here. He even met a merchant that knew his father very well. That's when he gets told his father said that if anything were to happen, to get her out the capital. Those words catch Stroll's interest, as the day ends not before my rank with the populace drops to 37. With the night here, I decide to meet Alonso. We sit and talk, saying that the owner of the inn was kind enough to give us some space, and his good friend from back home should be here soon, but he comments on how late he is. He used that time to tell me about his village. It's quite beautiful, full of flowers, but not wealthy, neither is it destitute, has a cheerful tranquility to it all. He was abandoned on a nearby road as a child, and a woman took him in. She became his mother and all but blood. She's a Parapus and he's an Adia. They look so different, and yet she raised him like one of her own. She never stopped smiling at him, and she was proud to call him her son. She sounds like a lovely person, something he agrees with. She's a good person, but trusts far too readily, though she does have an uncanny ability to know when he's lying. But alas, she was an easy mark for fraudsters. He couldn't tell how many times she would be told an expertly told sob story and was robbed for all she had. In fact, his only other memories of her when she wasn't smiling is her crying since she couldn't feed him. It's why he started his conning. He decided that he'll give any miscreant scum who take advantage of such kindness a taste of their own hell. All of them. And his most recent one is the worst of them all. And then apologizes, saying more than he wanted, but I don't care, we're gonna save his village. He believes he was blessed with a silver tongue when he was born. He can fool anyone except his mother, adding that I remind him of her, strangely enough. He's forgotten how it is to have a real conversation with someone, thanking me for listening, as a bond grows stronger. Sadly, things take a drastic turn as a new guy comes, the landowner, calling him by his real name, asking if he fancies himself some kind of hero with his tricks. A cheat's a cheat. They're the same, but he's more of a fool if he thinks there will be justice. He plays cocky, saying that the money belongs to the people, and he wishes to see it returned to them. But he thinks his tune will change when he sees what he's done. His associate, the one meant to be here, took some doing, but they managed to get some info out of him, about his family. He asks what he's done to his mother. He replies that killing her wouldn't teach Alonso a lesson, nor would it be fun. He gets angered, but the landowner simply says that he can't change things. You can't save anyone. This one is on the house. As he leaves and we rush to his village, it's been set ablaze. Alonso is crouched next to a lady. As they talk, I don't get to hear too much, but from his pained face, it's likely his mother is now dead, telling him to live on as she passed away. The people of the village are angry at him, saying that it was all his fault. They heard that much from the people. Alonso wants to be able to help them. He can help rebuild. He has money. But they don't want his filthy blood money. Despite his cries for them, just take it and use it for them and his mother. They don't care, wishing that he was the one who was dead. I stand beside him as he remembers the words he said to me, knowing they he would have done this. He knew they would do this, wondering if he was blinded by vengeance, but believing he was simply just a fool. I remind him of his mother's last words, and it might be hard, but he must. But he just questions why, asking me not to wish it on him. He's just feeding on his mother's life this whole time, just like a parasite. He knows he doesn't have the power to change anything. He's crippled by grief, and I stand beside him for as long as I knew he wasn't safe, and eventually left him to grieve.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
A new day, a new forecast. So I check it, and sure enough, the winds are in my favor this time as we get going to not waste this golden opportunity. And during our travels, I also don't waste the perfect time to catch up on some reading, specifically reading that boosts one's tolerance, as we read throughout the day.
The Gauntlet Runner arrives in a land grown thick with trees, the shadows enshrouding it as their claim. A warm, damp breeze passes above the Gauntlet Runner, its sensation cooling the thirst for battle. The night carries on.
It's now the dead of night, and I decided to spend it with Hulkenberg, playing a strategic board game. It's a close one, but in one move I'm put into a tough position. But I think about my position, like actually use my brain for once, and decided to balance my attack with defense. And it kinda worked in my favor, impressing Hulkenberg as we continue to play throughout the night.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts off quite simple. I just sat down and read a book that boosts one's tolerance. But alas, it's not finished just yet, so I put it away for the time being as we're attacked by a candidate. It seems both Neris and Heisme knew who it is. Neris knows the craftsmanship, and Heisme took notice of it being another Uchief at the ceremony, as we get into a fight.
Gotta tell you, you've got an absolutely brilliant runner there. I haven't stopped thinking about it since the opening ceremonies. And that's some ace detailing on the hull. Oh, and the speed's top class too. I bet it's like a palace on the inside.
If you just want to look at the runner, could you stop hopping all over the place?
Oh no, I've got a bit ahead of myself. I was actually hoping I'd get you to step down first. That is, step down from the runner, and step down from the tournament. I'm awful sorry, but I've got to be queen no matter what it takes.
Once I'm in charge, I'll commission runners for everyone in the kingdom. And Caden Workshop won't have to worry about turning a profit ever again.
To be completely honest, the fight isn't hard per se. The issue I had with this fight is I was weak to fire damage, giving her 3 turns to apply more damage. Thankfully, Heisme was working overtime with debuffs and Stroll with party attack and damage dealing. When she used the concentrate spell and did a party-wide fire attack, I thought I was a goner. But it all worked out in the end as Stroll finished her off.
Are you prepared? I'll cut you down!
Hi there, Miguel. I heard the whole story. You're Caden's little girl, eh? From Caden Workshop. Spiffing work done there. Fine parts, very fine. If you're short on funding, I'll shell out the cheddar. But I'd be much obliged if you dropped out of the damn race, eh?
What, really? You know about our workshop? Gosh, that's awfully nice to hear. Right, then I quit the tournament. Sorry about all this mess.
Huh, nice kid.
The Gauntlet Runner's slowing pace signals their arrival at an encampment to those below deck. They are grateful for these moments of repose, quietly acknowledging their good fortune, a rare glimpse into a party at peace.
I'm getting rather close to being level 3 in tolerance, so I decided to do lookout with Heisme to get to level 3, as Heisme tempts fate, saying that the place is just so serene. And sure enough, an enemy did attack us, but it was no match for us, as Heisme thanks me for the help and adds to come by anytime, but I was just barely off from getting rank 3, which kinda sucks, but for now, I head to bed.